Welcome in, TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. Today is Tuesday, August, I was about to say October 21st, 2023. David Nuño and Olin Buchanan with you this AM, a day after the Jimbo press conference, and I think it kind of went like we predicted. Quarterback not announced. I think it'll probably come out at some point this week. And then Monday we'll be able to talk about it with Jimbo, but they're still not ready to make an announcement. I'm sure I don't know if evaluation is the right way to phrase it, because I think they've done their evaluating. I think they are letting certain things happen and making sure that they talk to the players beforehand.
I agree with all that. And again, if his track record is any indication, look for him to make an announcement, or look for A&M to make or Liucci to make an announcement
Right.
by Thursday or Friday.
Yeah.
That would be kind of consistent with what's happened in the past.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. And I think we all have a feeling which direction it's going to end up going. Regardless, I like the quarterback situation that they have. I like both guys that are being discussed. I would feel very comfortable with Max, is what I'm saying. He wouldn't be my choice from what I've seen and for what I think the future is going to be. But I think I'm very comfortable with him. With Connor, I think there's an it factor that we need to uncover and find out. Is it really what I think it's going to be? Because it's kind of like, I don't want to call it Bigfoot, because we've seen Connor play. But it's like Bigfoot, like I've heard about this. We've seen it. We saw him. He had one of the best freshman games ever, first debuts ever in an SEC game. Like, he was fantastic against Ole Miss. So we got to see it for a season, and I think that'll come out here in the next few days.
I think it's like a nice coming attractions for what you think is going to be a really good movie. But I'm with you. I would be very comfortable with Max, because I've seen him be a reasonably successful SEC quarterback behind what was just an atrocious offensive line at LSU a few years ago.
So what are some movies, two-part question, because it just came to me the way you phrased that, movies that the trailer looks really good, and then you saw it and you're like, this movie is not what I expected.
Oh, gosh, man.
I said that like Seinfeld. And then what are some movies out there that the trailer looks really good, and then you go watch the movie, you're like, dude, the movie was even better than the trailer. And you say, dude.
Oh, gosh, right off the top of my head. See, if I'd had some time to think about that.
Heat. Heat lived up to I remember when that trailer came out. I'm going 30 years ago. Sorry, guys. Sorry, Luke. I know you haven't watched Heat. But when the Heat trailer came out, and I'm like, Robert De Niro is going to be in a movie with Al Pacino, and they're going to be in the same scene together.
Yeah, I never saw it.
You didn't see Heat?
No.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
Wait. Hold on. You haven't seen Heat?
No.
The classic movie with Al Pacino and Robert De Niro. No?
Never saw it.
And what's that Madsen character's guy's name? Michael Madsen. No?
Never saw it.
Not interested?
Just never saw it.
Because you're a mafia guy.
Yeah, I do like mafia movies.
Val Kilmer?
Haven't seen that one.
Huh. I'm a little offended.
Val Kilmer. Going back in time, I remember seeing the trailer for Top Gun.
It lived up to the hype.
And it lived up to the hype.
It was better than the hype.
Yeah.
That's, to me, what I think Connor's going to be.
Okay. All right. He's going to be the Top Gun.
Yeah. But
if you're trying to think what movie had a good trailer and nothing, it's not coming to me, but I remember there was one. It was a comedy. I wish I could think of what it was. And you'd watch it, and everybody said, oh, it's going to be great. And then people saw it and said, yeah, those were the only funny scenes in the whole movie were in the trailer, and I can't remember.
There's a couple superhero movies like that. I think Batman versus Superman, where you saw the entire movie in the trailer. You saw it. Like, there was nothing new and then when you go watch the movie, you're like, I just saw this on the trailer in 2 minutes. You took me 2 hours to watch this?
Yeah.
There was one. Usually a sequel.
Okay.
What's the one where the drunk dudes go to Vegas?
Oh, the Hangover.
The Hangover 2 did not live up to the hype. Or 3.
Oh, the 3 was worse than Godfather 3.
Godfather 3 was okay.
It wasn't very good.
It was okay.
It was.
Trying to think.
It needed a horse head.
People can text us. They're better. This was off the fly. 979-693-1150. We can kind of revisit that in a moment. But
the point is, you're thinking what you've seen, the coming attractions of what you've seen from Connor Wigman is going to be even exceeded by what's to come.
And there have been quarterbacks in the past that I expected the trailer was really good, and then you watch the movie, like, it was okay.
You don't want him to be Kyle Allen.
You don't want him to be Kyle Allen. Pretty long career, by the way. But there's just been some that have not hit the way I thought they would hit, right?
Yeah.
I would say Kellen, was he better than we expected when you look at the totality of his career? I'd say so.
I thought Kellen was a good quarterback. I don't think he was a great quarterback. I think he was a very good quarterback.
But if his career was a trailer beforehand, did it match what the trailer would have been?
You probably came away thinking, okay, yeah, I didn't feel like I got gypped out of my money or anything. I'm not going to ask for it back. But you're like, okay, that was all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. It was good.
Well, let's listen to our good friend Jimbo Fisher on the quarterback competition just yesterday at the press conference.
Yeah, I mean, it's still going. We haven't announced anything yet, but very pleased with both guys. Both guys had really good moments on the day, made big plays, made consistent plays, executing third down, made plays in the red zone, made plays in 2 minutes. I mean, and those, like I say, coming out and also coming off the goal line. How comfortable do you feel what you put on their back, when you're backed up and things like that. So, we did those things. I was very pleased. And our two young guys are developing very well. Henderson and Marcel, I thought, really did a nice job in how they're developing and what they're doing too. And our walk on Dallas, who's done a great job. I mean, I tell you, we were blessed to have him too.
Can you imagine Jimbo at confession? He could get everything out in just about 10 seconds. Hey, do 10 Hail Marys and we're good.
We're good.
The priest might be like, okay, well, now what? What is he saying?
So, do you read into body language, commentary, anything that you've gotten from Jimbo this offseason?
No, I don't.
I mean, does he strike you as a coach that's pretty confident?
Well, he
the
did,
season?
but you know what? Last year, he struck me as a confident coach. I even said that he feels like, he has big slick and there's an ace on the table. He did seem to have a confidence, and maybe again the injury issues and things like that. But I believe that Jimbo Fisher's so much of his confidence was misguided faith in Haynes King.
Okay. But I would say last year was a little bit more in your face confidence. Not that he was in your face. This year, there's more of a quiet confidence. He's confident, but he's not going overboard with it.
I think he should be confident. I think he has a good team.
Yep.
And maybe what we just talked about, I don't know if this to be a fact, we're speculating here, but maybe he is not being as in your face, as you would put it, this year because of what happened last year.
Right.
Maybe he's learned I'm going to have more of a quiet confidence about it this year. Yep. Maybe that's by design.
I think so. Look, they've got these pieces that if they just live up to what we've seen, right? Like when we talk about the wide receivers, all of them together, if they live up to what we've seen. And by the way, where he was confident? I didn't pull the soundbite for today, but I probably should have when he was talking about the running backs. Yes. I thought there was some confidence there, some real confidence.
Yeah, I mean, he went on and on about those guys, and hopefully they are good, as he kind of indicated. Because let's face it, that's the biggest loss from this team was Devon Achane.
Yep, but it's so interesting to me, OB, that with so many questions about the offense, I think insiders like ourselves have more questions about the defense than the offense. And I think that is interesting considering how bad the offense was last year.
Yeah, but I think you're right. I think you can look at the offense and you can say, okay, this is why they're going to be better. This is why. They got better with Cam Dewberry when he came in at guard. They were better with Bryce Foster. And you look at the receiving talent, and I mean, it's not just us. Everybody around the country is not saying, oh, they're at least the top 10 receiving core.
Right.
And they saw the coming attractions of Connor Wigman and things like that. But the defense, you're still saying, now how are you going to stop the run? And how are you going to rush the passer? And how are you going to get more turnovers?
Yeah. And I think the reason we think so when it comes to the defense is the defensive line. We believe with that many 5 stars on the D-line that the growth will show up, right? Like you're going to hit on some of those dudes.
Yeah, I think you look at the talent on the defensive line, and you say, okay, is Fidel Diggs and McKinley Jackson, I should say, are they going to miss half the season again with injuries? Probably not. Shamar Turner, not one of the freshmen,
Right.
who are now sophomores, but a junior, he was showing signs of really breaking out. And this could be a breakout year. And then, like you just mentioned, all those 5-star and even 4-star rated freshmen last year are now sophomores,
Right.
more physically equipped for the grind of the treacherous SEC. And by the way, we always talk about LT Overton and Walter Nolan and Shamar Stewart.
I know where you're going.
Where am I going?
Gabriel.
Well, and even Gabriel Brownlow-Dindy. But I in the short sample size, I really liked what I saw from Malik Sealer.
That was my next guest for you, yeah. Because you do bring him up.
I like he brought that speed rush, and you have to have it.
Colby on the YouTube chat says, in my opinion, Jimbo waits too long to name a starting quarterback each year. I think the lack of reps with the ones versus preparation. No, sorry, Colby. I disagree because we don't know what is happening at practice. You need those reps leading up to it, absolutely. But I think you have to. Like, by the way, Nick Saban hasn't named one either, and he's the GOAT.
Just because a starting quarterback, and I don't know this to be the case, but just because the starting quarterback has not been announced doesn't mean that they don't have one.
Right. And it doesn't mean the reps also are hurting either. It doesn't mean that at all. All right, let's go around the room and say hello to the people behind the glass. Nick Savage. Nick, good morning, sir.
Good morning, y'all. I just put it on OB. That's not me. There we go. Howdy, y'all.
Hey, buddy. How are you?
I'm good. How are y'all doing this morning?
Doing well. What's going on in your world?
Well, I don't want to steal Luke's thunder too much because he's going to do a little bit more on the Needville Little League team in just a little bit. But, I mean, DJ Jablonski last night, all right, I don't know how much of the game y'all watched. He allowed 4 hits, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts in 5 1/3 innings, which Little League they play 6 innings, so he pitched almost the entire game, and he gave Texas a cushion with a solo shot of his own and a 3-1 win over California last night. So that's awesome to see.
Didn't they steal home on a play or something? I think I saw that. Or
I believe that was in a game. I don't think that was last night,
Okay.
but that was in a game prior. But I mean, they've been killing it over there in Williamsport.
I'll say this.
Andy McRae, head coach, TexAgs.
I don't care if it's Little League Baseball, Major League Baseball, Tiddlywinks.
I already know where you're going.
Whatever. Any Texas win over that godforsaken hellhole that is California is cause for celebration.
It's a celebration, which is, all right, we go to the News and Social Center. Luke Evangelist. Luke, what witty comeback, funny thing do you have going today?
Good morning, everyone. I just want to welcome you into the studio with Grimace and the Hamburglar today.
The Hamburglar. I like hamburgers.
Okay, first off, the News and Social Center brought to you by the Angry Elephant. Secondly,
That's right.
one thing I've learned about Luke, like, he tries the same joke multiple times until it hits.
Until someone grimaces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I guess my shirt reminds him of the Hamburglar.
Because it's purple? That's
Grimace,
the best
sorry.
you got?
It's actually not purple, but he thinks so. It's actually red and blue.
He thinks he's Mayor McCheese over there.
Yeah.
Why so serious, David?
Listen, Phil Spector. All right?
Luke strikes me. He reminds me of those comics that come out and then they bomb.
They bomb.
Yeah.
Man, buddy, let's try you in the minor leagues first before you come up to the major leagues and you do these jokes.
Is this on?
Hey, don't snap your fingers, Thanos.
That one I like. That one I appreciate.
Thank
I don't
you.
even get that
What
one.
other ones do you have?
Well, David is really doing a good job at appealing to the younger audiences, so he decided to dress like Barney today.
Oh, my.
This is great. I mean, you know what I love? I'm going to allow him to keep going, but we do control his airtime, right? And his growth at TexAgs. And I have been his biggest supporter. That's
Yeah,
going
you
to change. But go ahead. By all means,
I have
please.
no more. That's it. I'm done.
Let me ask you a question. When you come up with these jokes, do you write them on your screen so you know to go to them later? Or do they come off the top of your head?
No, it's all off the top of my head.
I don't buy that at all. I think I'm
Come
gonna go
over
look
here and see my screen then.
at, control.
I think he practices them
Yeah.
at home, and he probably is looking in the mirror and laughing really hard at them.
How am I supposed to know what David is wearing before I get here?
I do know when you walked in, you had already a joke ready in hand. That I know.
You don't know anything. I'm off the dome always. I
Hey.
don't have anything pre-prepared.
So how long does it take you to perm your hair?
It's not a perm.
Oh, that's natural?
All natural.
Okay.
Wow.
Listen, David Hasselhoff, continue with your news and notes.
No, you've clearly taken your shot at me. You said you don't
Will
miss.
Ferrell, it's okay. Go ahead. Come
Knight
on.
Rider.
I don't even want to be on camera anymore.
Please.
Well, now you know how all our viewers feel.
Wow, that's great.
I mean,
Well,
you come at the Kings.
Let's see. Look, that he
Listen,
can't-
Lionel Richie, let's get it over with. So let's go.
thank you, David. Hey, when we come back, I'm gonna have something loaded up for you, and when I do, it's gonna be incredible.
Oh, the best part is we're not coming back to you. Thanks very much.
Oh, great.
That's Luke Evangelist at the news and social.
Did he
Center.
ever actually give us any
No,
news?
I wanted some news, but he wanted to try his comedy routine on the show, and I'm sure it's doing great. Oh, Grimace. Hey.
Breaking news: Waluigi takes over the TexAgs studio.
Who?
Luigi from Mario Brothers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's All right, thanks, Lenny Kravitz. Appreciate you. All right, we're going to hit a break here. We're going to come back with our Apex performance of the week. Somehow baseball keeps getting in the mix. I'm hoping next week we have a football Apex performance of the week, but we have a baseball one we'll get to here in a moment. But thank you very much to Howard Stern there at the News and Social Center. Fargo's time, Pit Barbecue, 1701 South Texas Avenue in Bryan. They are open Tuesday through Saturday, OB, which
Yeah.
means on Sunday you got to think about it.
And Monday, you got to think.
You got to think about it on Monday,
Yeah,
too.
But
yeah.
you know what? I think about it.
Yeah, but
I dream about it.
you do. It's weird,
I pine
but I
for
get it because I've had it. Like,
yeah.
yeah, like it's easy to judge OB without walking in your shoes. If you haven't had Fargo's, I get it. You're like, that's weird. He loves food so much. But when you go to Fargo's,
Yeah.
it all comes true.
It is. You know what? It's like that trailer that lives up to the hype and exceeds the hype. The hype exceeds the trailer.
And
is
we
what I'm
we
saying.
couldn't think of many movies, but yes.
But Fargo's will. So let's hope Connor Wigman is like Fargo's.
He's like the Rip Tips.
Oh yeah, let's hope he's like the Rip Tips. That's
Yeah.
spectacular.
Yeah.
That'll change your life.
What player would be the macaroni and cheese?
That's-
Devon A-Chain?
Well, he's gone.
No, but I'm just saying, like, I'm trying to find out.
No, he was a rib tip guy too.
He was a
No,
rib tip guy.
I think your offensive lines or your macaroni and cheese.
And the
it
mashed
just keeps-
potatoes.
Yeah, and what is it? The green bean, the red potatoes.
Oh, God. I'm like hungry now. OB, don't do that to me.
I'm always hungry.
They've been around for over 22 years in this awesome community. They'll take care of you for football, weekends, office parties, weddings, anniversaries, funerals, dinner. Good food done the right way. 1701 South Texas Avenue in Bryan. Without a doubt, the what?
The best barbecue in the world
You know that's their trademark.
because it's true.
It's I was about to call it's trademark, but it's Fargo's.
It's Fargo's.
It is Fargo's.
Heck yeah.
It's Fargo's.
Yeah.
One more time.
Damn right. It's Fargo's.
Thank you. All right, we're back. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. Maroon never looks so good with Maroon You. I want to do the Apex Performance of the Week,
Okay.
but there was a chat that I don't want to read, but I do want to read because it made me laugh. Like, I'm still kind of laughing about it. I'm just going to read it out loud because Luke came with violence, and he's realizing, I'm going against the gang. Like, it's...
Yeah, Luke is like the guy in Pulp Fiction, the Tim Roth character that wants to
yeah.
hold up everybody, and then the tables got turned.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden he was like, whimpering and begging.
You've seen that scene, right?
Yeah. Just read the comment. I'm ready for you.
Well, you already have a comeback ready to go?
You were
I
Tim
don't know.
Roth. David was Samuel L. Jackson.
And you are John Travolta?
Yeah, sure.
You kind of helped me.
I was in the bathroom.
Luke looks like an 80s sitcom dad. This is from Kyle.
Kyle.
That has 5 kids and is barely hanging on.
Kyle just became the apex predator of the week.
Hey, David, repeat after me, just
Predator.
because I
Yeah,
want
performer.
to give your acting career some shine. I just want you to repeat after me. We are
We are.
the Globo Gym Purple Cobras. But please put the camera on, David. This is how this works.
No, this is how it works.
Yeah.
The Globo Gym what?
Purple Cobras.
Is this from
Purple
like
Cobras.
Dodgeball?
And we will
And we will
rock you.
rock you.
You killed it, David. You could now be an extra
Hey,
in Dodgeball.
I appreciate that. We're going to stop joking with each other, but I do want to ask you, when your brother was invited to that party, that sorority party, did he just give you that shirt?
What shirt? This is
a
different shirt.
Oh, my fault. I thought it was, you were borrowing your brother's sorority shirt.
It's okay, Teletubby. You can't hit on all of them.
Oh, man. Did he just really like, Nick, you're doing the news and social center and directing the rest of the way.
Oh, no.
Sorry.
Sure.
Mic off. Thank you very much. And you know what? When we think about SEC Media Days next week, we know where we're going. And it ain't there, homeboy. All right, moving on to the Apex Performance of the Week, presented by Apex Health. Feel like you're losing your edge? It could be low testosterone. Listen up, Luke. Increase your energy, sharpen your focus, and boost your performance with a custom treatment plan from Apex Health. Learn more, apexhealthclinic.com. The Apex Health Clinic is owned and operated by veterans serving the Brazos Valley. All right. OB,
yes.
I'm going to let you have the first one because we kind of talked about some. Which one do you want to go with?
Well, I'm going to go with the one we haven't talked about much is the Seattle Mariners, to my chagrin.
Yeah, they're catching
They've won
up.
7 in a row, and now they're just 2 games out of first place in the AL West.
They're right there.
7 straight.
So, and the Rangers.
Didn't they sweep?
They swept their Astros. They absolutely did. So the Astros have struggled. They won last night. The Rangers have.
The Rangers are falling like a rock.
Like a rock.
Like a rock. And not like the Bob Seger like a rock.
No.
No, they're dying.
And the Astros are playing not so well, but they won last night. The Rangers have lost a bunch. So now you have 5 straight. Is it that many now?
Yeah.
Wow. And now you have yourself a 2-game lead over the Mariners, but a 1.5 lead over the Astros. And I believe you take on both of them over the next couple of weeks. So watch out there. It hurts me to say it out loud, just because I don't like to bring other people joy. But for Richard Zane, here's a little joy. His Dodgers have won 9 of 10, but it goes deeper than that.
It goes deeper, much deeper than that.
13-1 in their last 14 games.
You know what they've done in August?
They've gone 17-2 in August.
17-2.
Is that
August.
good?
That's pretty good.
They are phenomenal right now. Are they peaking too early? That's always the question a talk show host would ask. Is it too early? You want to be peak? I think this is about the time you want to be peaking.
I think so. Yeah, you're in the last third of the season, or even the last quarter of the season. Yeah, that's when you want to be playing good ball.
The Rangers are hitting because outside of they had that big win streak, right?
Yeah, they won something like 12 or 14, something like that.
This is not the time.
They even swept the Mariners in that.
And some of the timing in that too is like they were winning. And the Astros were winning too, and they're losing, and the Astros are losing too. So there hasn't been.
And then the Mariners
are winning,
right?
Yeah,
that's how they got back into it.
I also want to add Texas A&M to this because they've been really good on the recruiting trail, back in the top 10 there. Blake Ivy last week, potentially some other guys to hear in the future. I think A&M needs a little bit of props when it comes to the
whole
recruiting
lot.
trail.
I'm sure somewhere Brady Quinn is trying to make this all make sense.
Somewhere. You love bringing that guy up.
Well,
we should get him on the show.
He acted like he knew something that he didn't know last year.
Yeah.
Talk about the things you know, not the things you don't know. And just because you played college football doesn't mean you understand how recruiting works.
Yeah.
So the commentary he had toward A&M recruiting last year was idiotic, and now look at them. Now they're number 6 from what last I saw.
But you know why, OB? I think there's too many colleges to cover. So people just read something on Twitter and it becomes their take without actually doing any investigation. It is lazy when you're on a national show. That is your gig. If I were to say something wrong about Michigan, I got to eat it, right? I don't cover Michigan. I follow it enough to kind of know the storylines and know what's happening there with Harbaugh. They're doing the suspension for 3 games. But if I'm going to throw out takes, I want to investigate what I'm saying. I want to have information to back it up. I don't want to just read something I read on Twitter and throw it out to the world.
Right. Sometimes we'll talk about something. I'll say, look, I'm not going to try to act like I'm an expert on something.
Yep.
But Brady Quinn was what A&M was at the time last year, 36th or 40th in recruiting. He says, see, that just goes to show that all they did the year before was all NIL and all buying players. You're a buffoon. Your take your takes as a college football analyst are actually worse than your play as an NFL quarterback.
Yep.
And I didn't know that was possible, but he found a way to prove it. It was.
All right, let's
And
go.
now A&M's number 6.
Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Nick Savage there. Nick, I see a text there from Chase in Houston. Would you like to read that one?
Well, this is where I'm going to get fired from the News and Social Center immediately because it's going to take me a second. Chase in Houston says, Luke's jokes are like an November under Sumlin. They fall flat.
Oh, I didn't want you to read that
there's
one.
another Apex.
Oh,
performance.
no. I didn't want to read that one. That was on accident. I wanted you to read a different one. All right, we're going to hit a break.
Chase.
We're going to – hey, you're reinserted, Luke. You're back in, okay?
Thank you, Fred and Daphne.
Okay, you're back out. You're out.
Fred and Daphne.
He just tries.
Rut-row Raggy. Scooby-Doo.
Okay, Velma.
He does have Velma hair. That's a fact.
Yeah. Kind of a Velma physique.
We are not – you know what? From now on, we're straight sports.
Okay.
Because this guy can't handle a little bit of the spotlight. All right. Listen to this one, Luke. Does your knee pain keep getting worse? How about your pain in your shoulders, your hip, or your back from me carrying the show, right? Don't let them tell you that steroids and surgery are your only option. Take my advice and call our friends at QC Kinetics. They can make that pain go away with all the natural advanced regenerative medicine. They're helping people every day with these amazing natural treatments that restore and repair that damaged joint tissue. It is like turning back the clock. Regenerative medicine uses concentrated healing agents from your own body to stimulate that damaged tissue in your joints. So if you have some pains out there, guys, this is the place to call, and it's quick and it's easy, and they'll take amazing care of you. Zero downtime. So you go in, you come out, you're going to start feeling better pretty quickly. QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in this exciting medical breakthrough. Patients here are getting real, lasting relief and are saying no to surgery and drugs. If you have pain due to injury or arthritis, this is a remarkable option that you need to check out. And the consultation is absolutely free. 979-452-6000. QC Kinetics, 979-452-6000. That's 979-452-6000. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, Go Hour presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. I'm going to read this text from Mike F. there at the text line. Says the best Bullet Train with Brad Pitt and Bad Bunny. So I think he's referring to trailers that actually were better or lived up to the hype. Did you ever see Bullet Train?
No, didn't see
It's
it.
actually pretty good.
Okay,
I wouldn't say great by any stretch, but it was an enjoyable movie. It was all right.
didn't see it.
Go Hour presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. Okay, and I'm going to read one more, unless we can give Luke a chance to do it. Luke, can you read the text message there from PG Ag in King Oaks, please? There, Luke, evangelist at the Angry Elephant Social Center.
Yeah, he said, my opinion, you can see that Bobby P has taken some pressure off of Jimbo.
I think you could see that in the. We're going to run a soundbite from Jimbo later where he talks about having more time to actually coach and like teach and go around and do things. And it didn't seem like coach speak. It seemed like a genuine response. And I think that's what the texter is referring to.
Yeah, I think so. And, you know, I think one of the many reasons to feel good about Bobby Petrino being his offense coordinator is Jimbo has more time to go over there and check with DJ Durkin and say, don't run a three-man front until we have the personnel for it.
I think there are times a three-man front's a great idea.
Yeah, if you have the personnel.
But it was just a little too much for my liking last year. All right, let's do this. It's 23-23 today, and it's every day until we get to next week.
We're almost there.
Almost there, my friend. And it's brought to you by the Charge Apparel, Aggie owned and operated premier polos and tees made in the USA. 12% of total sales are donated to organizations supporting veterans and mental health initiatives. You can visit them at thechargeapparel.com or find them on Instagram at The Charge Apparel or Twitter, The Charge Brand. And number 4, Olin Buchanan is
Connor Wigman.
So I'm going to say it like this. We say this often. He is one that can absolutely be put higher when this is all said and done. He is the most important player on the field if he ends up being the starter, and I think he will be. But Connor Wigman, has the it factor that we started the show with, and he is the reason, of many reasons, but he is the reason, the what do you call it, the orchestra conductor of why I think things are going to go the direction we've been talking about offensively.
Well, I do believe that potentially he'll be Connor Wigman. I believe potentially is the best quarterback that A&M will have had since Johnny Manziel. I believe that. I believe he has that it factor like you're talking about. I believe that Connor Wigman, has a big arm and he's not afraid to run and he's not afraid to take a chance.
Yeah.
And I believe he's the guy. We talked about this earlier this week. I believe he's he's like Vincent Chase in Vegas. He never loses. Now I'm not going to say they're never going to lose a game with Connor Wigman at quarterback. What I'm saying is he'll take those chances and he'll win on those chances more often than not. And I'm thinking about that pass he threw, actually 2 passes to Moose against LSU. One, we all remember the one-handed touchdown catch by Moose between 2 defenders.
Yeah.
A lot of quarterbacks just wouldn't even make that throw, and if they did, it'd probably get picked because they couldn't make it that precise. And then he has Moose again. Hey, I got a hot guy out here who's making all kinds of plays. Let me throw a 50-50 ball out here and let him make a play, and he did.
He's got quarterback swag. He's got moxie. And what I mean by that is you just watch him interact. There is a confidence that is apparent, and it's not cocky. There's guys that walk in there that think they're better than everybody. When I watch his body language, and my opinion, he seems like a guy that is in complete control. He knows he can do what has to be done. And when you have a quarterback that has that kind of moxie, that's why oftentimes I think he is compared to Johnny for the good, right? For the ability of I can lead these guys to where we need to go.
Yeah, I think so. And he does, like we talked about, we always go back to the LSU game, but he didn't have long runs. I mean, long runs like Johnny would have. And a couple times he stumbled when he began his scramble, so just get that cleaned up. But he ran to extend the drive.
Yep.
And that is all you need. You need a quarterback that when the play's breaking down, I can still take off, or he can still take off and get you the first down, and he can do that. And then the other touchdown he threw was to Donovan Green against LSU, and it's a play that A&M has used for a lot of touchdowns, typically at the goal line, but where you bring the tight end all the way across. But he had B.J. Ojolari, LSU's best pass rusher, bearing down on him as a true freshman, and he waits and waits, and the guy's bearing down on him, and he waits, and he delivers the pass for the touchdown. Not too soon, not too late. In fact, he held it perfectly, and then had it not been complete, he drew a late hit,
right?
Because he showed that poise with B.J. Ojolari bearing down on him. He didn't panic. He waited till it was the right time to throw it, and then made a perfect delivery.
Players often mention him. They'll tweet about him. They'll Instagram story him. They'll talk about him in here. He's their dude. I remember at the team picture, where's Connor? Where's Connor? Like, I remember hearing players do that. He's so good off schedule, right? And the thing that I don't think I realized as much, because you see it in high school, and you're not sure how it translates to the next level. He's got beautiful touch. He puts the ball in areas that, to me, seem like only the wide receiver can get to often.
And you know what was the big number when I look at Connor Wigman to feel great about him as the quarterback? Number 0.
Yeah.
No interceptions, no turnovers. Oh, my gosh. What a breath of fresh air that is on this team to have a quarterback that will have minimal turnovers.
And I'll give Max credit on that too, because they both had 0, both had 0 interceptions. So, bottom line is he could be higher on this list. When he goes out and does it, he will be higher on this list. Is the way I look at it.
I think don't be surprised. All right, don't be surprised if come November. I'm not predicting this, but I'm saying don't be surprised if it happens. Surprised if it happens if Connor Wigman is getting some Heisman Trophy traction. And I'll tell you why. It's the combination of what he can do, Bobby Petrino's offense, and the receivers. I saw Jason White at Oklahoma win a Heisman Trophy by dumping the ball 5 to 10 yards and letting Mark Clayton, and I think his name was Danny Bradley, catch it and run another 30 yards.
Right.
Look, he had a 40-yard completion. I think the combination of the Petrino feed the studs, having the studs, and the guy that has shown that he can get the ball to the studs equals stud quarterback.
Would that also mean in November, if he's getting Heisman love, they've got probably just one loss on the year?
One or two, no more than two.
Yeah.
But it means that they're having a big year.
If they've got 2 losses in November, still got some work to do, but you feel really good about where they're at. And
Yeah.
I obviously, I'd rather have 1 loss.
Yeah, of course,
than
or zero losses.
Yeah,
right?
0 would be better.
And I wouldn't concede anything. But I just think that, here's a guy that has shown in a small sample size, admittedly, that he can get the ball to the guys. I think he'll have. I don't think he's going to have an elite offensive line, but I think he's going to have a better offensive line, and he's going to have elite receivers. And he's the guy that showed that he can get it to the receivers, and he's not hesitant to take off and go get you that first down when all the DBs are now preoccupied with keeping up with the receivers.
Yep. Let's go back to the, by the way, that is 23 and 23 brought to you by The Charge Apparel. Billy Liucci will talk to us around 10:35 about Connor there at number 4. Let's go back to the News and Social Center that is brought to you by The Angry Elephant. Luke, I know we got a couple text messages. Let's start off with that 254.
Yep, we've got one from 254 number.
Wait. You seem like your feelings are hurt.
No.
You're not the happy Luke that you were when you walked in today. I'm sorry. Did me playing fair hurt your feelings? I'm sorry. I should.
No, you got to have thick skin to work here.
Yeah.
And I accept that. I understand that better than most.
But you do realize, and I just want to make, and in fact, Billy and I had this conversation yesterday. I'm never the instigator. I just respond.
I know.
Okay.
I've learned my lesson. I was back there. Richard Zane told me to quit while I was behind. So that's what I'm going to do.
Well, I've been challenged to use you in my live spots for the rest of the show, some way, shape, or form. I don't know if I can continue doing that.
Thank you, David.
But I might.
Okay.
Let's go to the News and Social Center. There he is. Go.
Yeah. 254 number says, it appears that he's having fun. Jimbo is smiling.
Aren't they all at this time? But yes, I agree, by the way. It goes back to Jimbo being just a little bit happier disposition. How can you be happy when you're losing, right? And they were losing a lot last year. At this point, you got to believe in your talent because you've recruited at a high level and you've seen what they can do. But I am truly curious if we could give him some true serum. How much happier is he? Sorry, there's a war going on in the next room. How much happier is he with the freedom to maybe teach a little bit more and maybe do some of the administrative stuff that I'm curious what he would actually say.
I would think right now it feels pretty good. You delegate. You don't have as much on your plate. What's going to be the real litmus test is in a close game.
Yep.
Are you going to be able to say, this is what I want? I got to get involved. Or, that's the fun part, I would think, of coaching is calling the plays.
Yeah. Let's do one more. Let's get Nate's text message, Luke, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Said Nate in Fort Worth says, Mr. Country Music, I just realized you're 60 YouTube subscribers away from 10K.
Oh, yeah.
Just 60 now.
Yes, just 60. So we challenge our listeners to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're trying to grow those numbers. We want to get to 10,000 before the start of football season. We really want to do it by the end of this week.
By the end of the day.
By the end of the day. And if
Hey, Jeff Phillips, who texted me that he subscribed yesterday because
thank you, Jeff.
I asked for him. Get your friends, get your coworkers.
Yeah, if you guys can, honestly, at the end of the day, it makes a difference. So if you can all, and we know that half of the people who listen to the show aren't subscribers. We have those numbers from YouTube. So just subscribe, guys.
Subscribe.
Just be a friend.
Yeah, and then we'll say thank you for being a friend.
Thank you. And we'll come back with that song.
From the Golden Girls.
And great show. Speaking of the Golden Girls, News and Social Center, anything else we want to add?
No.
Okay. Let's hit a break. We'll come back with, you like that one?
That was pretty funny.
You're on today. No, I'm not.
You're not going to be able to top the testosterone listen up, Luke.
Yes,
maybe for the rest of your life.
Well,
but that was a pretty good line.
Honestly, hopefully Luke doesn't take offense to any of the jokes that we're back at him, and hopefully he graduates from A&M so he can say he's a member of the Association of Former Students. Hopefully. We're not sure about that totally yet, but if he can be a part of a great organization. By the way, is your organization or business looking for an opportunity to engage with Aggies? Then check out the Association of Former Students. The association brings Aggies of all ages together during events throughout the year, the marquee events such as Aggie Ring Day, All Aggie Hullabaloo, the Gathering, and welcome tens of thousands of guests. There are many sponsorship and vendor opportunities available for your brand in front of these attendees. All events offer a wide variety of both digital and in-person options to promote your brand. Options include title sponsoring, naming, on-site presence, and activation, recognition in social media posts, and much, much more. There are also advertising opportunities in both the Texas Aggie Magazine and the Aggie Newsletter, which are seen by over 230,000 people. Is your business ready to engage with Aggies? Choose to partner with an organization that's been supporting the Aggie Network for over 140 years. For more information on options available through the association, please email sponsorships@aggienetwork.com. Confidant. It's a good song, man.
Man, that's some good singing there.
Gosh, good.
David.
Oh, I'm Mr. Country Music, yeah.
Huh?
I'm Mr. Country Music.
Yeah, but again, which country?
Cuba. You know?
That's a lot of rumba music, right? In Cuba.
A lot of what?
Is it rumba?
Rumba?
Rumba.
A little rumba. Yeah.
We're going to hear some of that in about 3 weeks.
Buddy, we're going to party so late. You're going to be like, this is not the David Nuño I know.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm here for it.
I mean, 11 p.m.
At least.
At least on Saturday night.
At least to 11.
After the game. It is TexAgs
We'll
Radio.
still be working probably at 11.
Yeah, that's why I said that. Presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Rollo Insurance Studio Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. I do want to read this message from K-Mick on the YouTube page, okay?
Yeah.
Because I think you'll have a response, OB.
Okay.
Nothing mean, just an opinion. I don't like the fact that he, being Jimbo, still hasn't named the starter. That's odd to me. If he's the guy, say it and let's go. What has been his history since being here at Texas A&M?
He named Kellen Mond the starter over Nick Starkel I want to say on the 25th. I think it was of August.
Yep.
He named Haynes King over Zach Calzada, I think, on the 27th. I may have the guy. And then last year, King over Max on the 25th. I think those are correct. I know it's twice on the 25th and once on the 27th.
So I'm going to ask this question because I really don't know. I understand why people are asking the question. I just don't know why it matters today. Like, why do we as...
Well, you see Georgia name a starting quarterback.
But
and then
we knew he was a starting quarterback 3 months ago, right? Didn't we basically know? Like we think Connor's going to be the guy.
We knew it was going to be Carson Beck, but they had Vandergriff.
But I think everybody was still saying Carson Beck.
But, okay, well, everybody's been saying Connor Wigman.
Exactly my point.
Auburn named Peyton Thorne. And now, to your point about we all knew Florida went ahead and named Graham Mertz, and I don't think they wanted to, but
they had to.
I don't think the Florida quarterback battle was the same as A&M, where they say, okay, we got two guys that are pretty good. I think it was like, okay, who sucks the least?
In a way, can it not be the amount of respect that you have for both guys? Like, look, this guy may be winning the battle, but this guy sure ain't losing the battle, and it could be a part of that.
Well, Liucci's actually, I've looked at his reports, and he's saying that Connor's been spectacular, like with the 6 touchdown passes in the most recent scrimmage, but that Max looked good too.
Yeah.
So like I said, I wouldn't be surprised, for instance, if they told the quarterbacks today, right, and said, but for whatever reason, don't want to name it, don't want to make it public, so please sleep on it for a couple days.
I think coaches have their pattern, their routine of how they like to do things. And unless you have a guy coming back for another year, right, that has been the guy for sure.
Right.
I like to make my decision here. And we've seen here-ish right around the same time.
Yeah, we have. And again, they can see it in practice. Maybe somebody's getting a few more snaps with the number ones. We don't know because we're not there. But I'm not too concerned about when they name the starting quarterback. Just get the right guy out there.
Yeah. And by the way, not that this is going to happen. We've seen plenty of times where somebody is named the starter for the first game, and we saw it, I think, with Ole Miss last year. Right? Was it Ole Miss last year that Jackson Dart was basically named the starter, but we'll see? Maybe I'm getting it wrong.
I don't recall that.
I don't know. There's that happens, though, where they're like, we'll see. Let's see the first game, then we'll figure it out.
Well, one year in Arizona State, the guy named the starting quarterback and changed his mind and brought the guys back in the next day and said, no, I'm going with this guy.
No. OB, thank you very much. Thank you to our friends there at the warehouse of CC Creations for the Go Hour. We'll be back with Coach Waddell. And we are back. It is TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We are here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Appreciate everybody listening in this morning. We're going to hope to get Coach Alan Waddell on the show here momentarily. But before we do that, we can kind of reset some of the topics that we started the show with. And no, we're not going to be dissing anybody. But we started off with Jimbo talking about the quarterback competition that is ongoing, and nothing's been announced yet. There's been some comments on the YouTube page and on text of like confusion by it, and what does it mean? I don't think it means anything. I'm a big believer. A thing isn't a thing until it becomes a thing, and if that doesn't make any sense to you, let me kind of take you down this path. I understand why certain people will like hypothesize or predict failure or good stuff for something when things don't go their way. For instance, like, this obviously must mean X, Y, and Z. So that all being said, I don't believe it's a thing until it becomes a thing. So like when people were talking about the issues that could be present with Jimbo and Bobby Petrino, I think most of those have kind of been squelched because of what we've seen. But I don't buy that. Like I subscribe to the methodology of if it becomes a thing, we'll talk about it. If it's not a thing, why are we wasting this negative energy in this show, in this environment where we're breaking down things that are actually happening? Now, can you if there are things that are pointing in that direction, multiple things pointing in that direction, is it possible? Absolutely. 100% is possible. But nothing in my mind points to something out there. If something out of the ordinary, we got to Monday, we still didn't know. Maybe, and even after the press conference on Monday, we don't know. Would I have some questions? I mean, potentially, but this has been kind of the track record. This has kind of been the page that they've taken in years past. That's why I don't freak out about it. I'd let a thing become a thing, and then we could talk about that thing. But until then, it copies some of the same methodology he's used in years past, right? So for all the reasons that people get worried and frustrated and I don't like it. I understand your concern because we're coming off a terrible year. I also don't think it has to mean anything right now. When it means something, we'll evaluate it, right? When it means something, we'll be able to say, yeah, this is the why behind it. But right now, we don't have that why. So it is right now just we're waiting for it to come true. And then if you are worried about quarterback play, it doesn't matter. Like if he's worried about it, then all these things we've been talking about go away. All these potentials for the season go away. So let's break it all down. I am not seeing Coach Waddell on my side of the. He's not showing up on mine. It doesn't say a caller's on there. So if you want to queue him up for me, Sean, there at the mothership, he's not showing up as being on the line there. So let's while we figure that out, let's go to Luke Evangelist there at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Luke, what do we got?
So I've got my computer over here, and I'm reading a text that says, "Great job today, David. You're awesome. Keep going."
Thank you. Thank you very much. Who's that text from?
Everybody.
Oh, I appreciate that. I appreciate everybody chiming in. You're just trying to be in my good graces?
Yeah, and I didn't bring my computer in here. It's in the back.
Oh, it's okay. But you wanted to come in here just in case we went back and forth.
Yeah.
See, you got my back.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I get it. Luke, since you don't have your computer there, what are students saying? Because you're now hosting our student show. What are they saying about the A&M offense?
I think they're excited. I think there's a lot of buzz around players, and it's a lot of well-known players. I think for students especially, there's diehard fans, and then there's casual fans. And when it's names like Evan Stewart, who are big on social media, Anaya Smith, Connor Wiegman, like they're well-known and they represent themselves on social media, that makes it easier for students for that name to click and to be like, oh, I know Evan Stewart from his TikTok or whatever. So there's more buzz about them off the field, and that leads to people getting excited on the field. Now, for like diehard fans that follow the team, yeah, we're excited about the offense, but this is kind of a new wave of more casual fans, people who don't usually follow the team, getting a lot more excited about the team because they're recognizing players.
Good stuff there, Luke. Appreciate you. Let's go to the hotline. I think we have Coach Waddell now on the show. Alan Waddell, are you there, sir? Good morning.
I think I am. How we doing today, Dave?
We're okay, man. How you been?
Hey, life is good. Another day, another dollar. It's closer to Aggie football. Football's only a few days away. It's in the air. Nice and hot. Been hot in College Station, or have you had a cold front that drops it to about 30 degrees?
Yeah, no. When we get a cold front here in College Station, it goes from 109 to 107. That's kind of what it's been recently.
I understand. It was hot in 1998, my first year at A&M too. We had a hot summer, so and we won the conference championship that year. So maybe that's a good omen, right?
Oh, I love the way you think there, Coach Waddell. I love that. Hey, I did want to ask you, because your vast coaching experience, yesterday one of the comments that Jimbo Fisher had was about his ability now to connect more with players and teach them a little bit more. Now that he's got coordinators on both sides, and I'm more specifically talking about the offense, where he doesn't have to spend the bulk of his time. He's got Bobby doing most of the offensive work. This allows him to really connect. Just talk a little bit about that new world for him, and how maybe he might end up actually loving being more of a CEO type.
Exactly. Especially at the college level, and especially I think on offense with all the complications of defenses, to prepare a team to face a defense and still try to wear the head coach responsibility, which is so big in recruiting and in alumni and fundraising and all that. That's very tough. There's very few coaches that do that successfully. I think Steve Spurrier did it. There are a few more that do it, but I think most coaches, they realize when they become the head coach, and that's probably in high school also nowadays, that they take the role on as CEO and let the coaches coach, and then they'll oversee it. We have meetings to look at film and evaluate how the coaches are coaching, how the players are playing, rather than have the hands-on part. He's got time to go down with the offensive line. He's got time to work with the receivers. He can go over and check the linebackers on the other field. He can be the CEO so that when things go wrong, he's got an idea of what went wrong, and he can make suggestions as the head coach.
Talking to Alan Waddell here, former A&M linebackers coach on TexAgs Radio. Let's talk a little bit about the back and forth. One of the questions I asked Jimbo yesterday was, on teams that have been successful that you've coached, is it a back and forth between the offense and defense? And one of the things he talked about was, yes, but in that same practice going back and forth. He doesn't like when one of the sides of the ball dominates the other side. He likes it to be more of a chess match, the sweet science, he called it, like boxing. What about in your career when you've had very successful teams that you coach? Tell us some of those battles.
Yeah, you've got to have a good offense, you have a good defense, and that makes good chemistry. When the competition is good against each other, you got good chemistry in the locker room. If you just got a dominating offense, the defense can't stop anybody. People start pointing fingers. We're winning games 65 to 50, or we're losing games 70 to 65. That's not a good situation type stuff. So it's important that you be very balanced and successful on both sides of the ball and the kicking game, because every element's got one, and that locker room is extremely important with the chemistry, and the kids have to have confidence that when they score, the defense will hold them, and that the defense will, when they hold them, the offense will score. So that's extremely important, that they have balance and there be a competition against each other in practice. And that's what the fall workouts and spring trainings are all about, that you have the competition, and it's got to be fairly equal competition so that you get some good-on-good type work.
Alan Waddell with us here on TexAgs Radio. So let's go back to '98 when you first got to the program. What, Talk about how RC went about his business. Obviously, his defensive mentality. How involved was he on the defensive side? Did he allow? Because football's changed a lot since 1998. I mean, football's changed a lot the last 2 years.
Oh yeah, but RC was the perfect CEO. I mean, he let the coaches coach. He would walk around. He'd make suggestions because of his great experience, especially on defense. I mean, he used to be a linebacker coach, so I envied it and looked for any help that I tried to be a sponge and absorb anything that R.C. Slocum told the players while I was around, or that he told me. I mean, that's what it's all about. You learn from the head coach and the CEO, especially when he coaches the position you're coaching. But R.C. was real good, and where there were problems is where you saw him. If we had problems on the offense with the quarterback, he'd be down with the quarterback. If we had problems at linebacker, he'd be with me at linebacker. Of course, he had a guy named Dat Wynn, so he wasn't with me nearly as much as with other positions. But really, that he was the perfect CEO as far as I'm concerned, and he lets coordinators run the offense and defense. He was in the meetings. You know, he bounced back and forth when he didn't have administrative duties. We'd be in the meetings to see what we were doing, make sure we were following his philosophy, and playing to each other. You know, type stuff, working the clock offensively to save the defense, not giving up big plays on defense so the offense is not bad position. We got good field position. So he was the perfect CEO, and that's why we were successful.
Talking to Alan Waddell here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Last year, Coach Waddell, I would see you often at the KBTX hit pregame show, right? And we would often ask each other, like, how did it get so bad? So considering how it got so bad, I've talked to you since. I know you're optimistic this year. What are your reasons for optimism?
Well, first of all, we've got the talent to win. I mean, you got to have the talent. This is Southeast Conference. You know, the Jimmy and Joes, they count. Army and Navy ain't won too many national championships in the last few years. You know, I don't think our first opponent, New Mexico, is going to win a national championship. We're a better football team, and so we can compete with the upper echelon talent-wise. Our defensive line with depth. Our quarterback's a 5-star. We got probably the best receiving core in the conference. Our offensive line is back. They're experienced. It's an outstanding football team. Secondary is extremely strong. This is an outstanding, talented football team, as are many teams in the Southeast Conference. But we're undefeated right now, and the kids have a great attitude out there, I'm sure. And I think the problems from last year, which might have been some chemistry problems as much as anything off the field, I think the coaches have probably addressed that, and the team has addressed that. And the ones that didn't need to be there last year probably are not there this year. And that's a positive way to look into the season. So I think everybody in the country is positive, especially if you got some talent, because everybody's undefeated right now. And all the alumni love them, win or tie. And right now they hadn't lost any games. So really, it's an optimistic time in Aggieland football because we got great talent. We got a good coaching staff that knows the kids. And the kids, I think they were embarrassed last year, and an embarrassed Aggie football team fights back traditionally.
Coach Waddell, what about against the run last year? When you watched that team, why did they struggle so much, and why should it be better this year?
That's a good question. I mean, and the answer is I hope they found the answer to that because we did not play up to our talent level last year. I think everybody would admit that. We were not gap sound as far as our technique. We tried to do I think a lot of times players, they try to do other people's job instead of all 11 of them doing their job. So I think we might have had that because of our youth and experience in certain positions. They were used to dominating because they were young kids that dominated in high school and could do it their way and still be successful. But when you get to the college level, you've got a responsibility, and you've got to play that responsibility, or the entire defense falls down. So I don't think with the scheme thing as much. It was an execution by the players, and I think probably now with another spring training and fall camp under their belt, I think they kind of will have bought in and understand with how they fit into the scheme, which is not a complicated scheme. It's fairly simple and can be executed by these kids. There's no doubt.
Coach Waddell, on the defensive line, sometimes it takes young players, just like offensive line, a little bit longer to get going. Why do you think that is? Is it the mental part of the game? Is it, yeah, they're strong, yeah, they're athletic, but there's an adjustment to the man strength on the other side of when they're taking on 23, 24-year-olds?
That's exactly right. You know, they're coming out of high school to have 1 year out. But they were the big dominating force. You know, now they're facing people that are bigger, faster, and stronger. You know, they've been out there working in that weight room and college program for 3 or 4 years. So it's a different game. The bullets are flying a little faster, and the bullets are a little bigger. So I think kind of combination spring. The speed of the game is the big thing.
Talking to Alan Waddell here on
Pardon
TexAgs.
the interruption. I'm at Bradford High School. They're making announcements.
Oh, it's all right. Tell me when the Pledge of Allegiance is coming on. We'll wait for it.
It'll be at 11:01.
All right.
Got a while.
Hey, what do you need to see from the linebackers, Coach Waddell?
I need to see people that will read their keys and come downhill and smash mouth somebody. That's what we got to see. We need to see linebackers like playing like the wrecking crew used to, with their hair on fire, getting to the ball, being excited when they get there, and really, really making plays. Linebackers have to make plays. I mean, you can talk about technique, you can talk about keys, you can talk about everything. You got to still make plays. You got to find ways to make plays, and that's what I'm looking for the inside linebacker. Right now, on paper, if you listen to the pundits and the experts, that's the weakness of the defense. So those guys have got to take it personal and understand that whatever it takes in practice to get themselves ready, so they can go play football in front of 105,000 people in Kyle Field.
Coach Waddell, did you ever have a position group that, the pundits went after them? They're like, that's the weakest part of their team, and it actually ended up being maybe one of the strengths of the team?
Oh, yeah, a lot of times, it all comes to the personality of your players. They take it personal, and they should take it personal, and they work hard at it, and they refuse to lose. They have an attitude. That's the type of kids. I think you recruit those type of kids, because it's all not going to be roses all the time. It's going to be you're going to get hit in the mouth. You're going to have some adversity, and it's how you fight back, and you take it personal when somebody says you can't do something. You're going to prove that you can, and that's where national championships and conference championship teams are made of. Teams that do that. Our '98 championship team, they were told, "Oh, well, you got talent, but the Aggies always find a way to lose." And they said, "Not this bunch. We're a new bunch. We're a new team. It's a new year, and we will not find a way to lose. We'll find a way to win." And they had that attitude in practice. They had that attitude in the locker room. They had that attitude and that swagger when they went to class, and they took that to the field, and we won football games, and we have a championship trophy because of it.
Coach Waddell, last thing for you. How good are they going to be this year? Like, if you can look predicting your crystal ball, you see the potential at quarterback, you see the potential on the offensive side, the defensive side. How good can they be?
Well, I think it's an unlimited season ceiling. You got to worry about injuries. There are things you don't control, but I can easily see this team as good as the team a couple of years ago that won 9 ball games, out of 10 or whatever. This could easily be a 10-win season, a 9-win season for sure. I mean, I know Tennessee is really good, Alabama's really good, LSU's really good, and anybody in the conference can win a game anytime. But I would think that I think Vegas says 7.5. I'd put the kitchen sink on that we win, that we go over on that one. I really think it's a good ball club, and I'm excited about it. I think we've got great leadership and a lot of great positions. I think they're upset from last year, and they're fixing to show some people something. And they're just tired of the Aggies being also ran. We didn't get in this conference to be also ran. We got in this conference to compete for championships. And I really think this team has the chance to do that. We might be a year away, talent-wise, as far as experience and that kind of stuff. But I'm telling you, next 3 years is going to be some good football at Texas A&M, and we're going to see some exciting football that I think the Aggies going to be real proud of the football team that's on the field.
Coach Waddell, we appreciate your time, sir. Thank you very much.
All right, we'll see you in about 11 days.
You got it, man. Can't wait to see you. Have a great one.
Take care. Bye-bye.
That is Alan Waddell, former linebackers coach. Good guy. Really good dude. I always appreciate talking to Coach Waddell. All right, when we come back, Jamie Morrison, volleyball coach, is going to be joining us. We'll talk a little bit about the start of the season coming up. Right now, though, Charged Apparel. I've told you this before. Aggie-owned and operated, purpose-driven apparel brand made here in the United States, USA. Polos and tees done the right way. They believe in supporting the U.S. economy and domestic jobs, which is why they manufacture their polos and tees right here in the United States. They are owned and operated by 2 Aggies, class of 2014. They met in the Parsons Mounted Cavalry in the Corps of Cadets. And Tucker was a member of E2 and Travis part of Squadron 2. Upon graduating, they commissioned into the U.S. Army, and Travis commissioned into the Air Force. After spending time with the military, they formed the Charge Apparel as a way to continue to serve our country through veteran nonprofits that they support. 12% of their total sales are donated to veteran nonprofit partners with a focus on mental health initiatives. An ode to the 12th man, 12% of their total sales to organizations, and they make sure that you are a part of that. Premier Fabric, Lightweight, slightly tailored fit through the chest and the arms, designed to make you look and feel your best. It's the Charge Apparel, the website, thechargeapparel.com. Find them on Instagram at The Charge Apparel or on Twitter, The Charge Brand. Volleyball time here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Jamie Morrison in studio. Hello, Coach. How are you?
I'm doing great. Excited for what's coming, and happy to be here.
I think it's been a little bit over a month since we last caught up. You've been busy. I don't know if you know this. You've been busy on multiple fronts.
Yep.
Let's start off with the U19s. What a great run, the goal. Just take me through that whole journey and just the fun that you had.
Yeah, and I don't know if people know, we were competing in U19s, but we had, I think, an average age of 17.1 or something like that. So we had quite a few 16-year-olds, and we had one 18-year-old, I believe, and then the rest of them were kind of playing above their age group. And I've told people over and over again, just I think the reasons why we did what we did is that group bought into who we needed to be as a team. They bought into what we needed to do on the volleyball court, and they got better every single day. We had 7 days of practice leading in, which I think it blew everybody's minds. Somebody asked us, I think after our semifinal win, like, how many days did you prepare? And I was like 6, and he's like, no freaking way. I'll put that in a nice way. But they learned at a rate I don't think I've ever had a team learn at. They bought into who we needed to be as a team from a culture standpoint, and then just you get a bunch of the best players in the country, and it's the first time some of them have ever sat on a bench and had to be in a supporting role. And we had players that bought into that, and were ready to go when it mattered most. You saw that in the final. We brought a setter in that hadn't played a ton, and I kept telling her, your time's going to come, and she turned the match for us.
Yeah.
And it was really, really cool. I'm getting chills as I say it. And just winning a gold medal there, just with no expectations of doing it going in, it was one of the most joyous, I think, wins I've had.
Well, obviously talent wins, but how you massage that talent and how you get people to buy into roles, not easy, and especially in a short time.
Yep.
So just how about that methodology? Like, how is it talking to them every day? Like, this is what we're working on. This is what we're going to end up being.
Yeah, I think, one, there's some lead into that conversation that happens. And the reason why I love that U19 experience is you compress an entire volleyball season into 3 weeks, and you get to learn how to do it. But I think it's, one, making sure that the expectations are set from the beginning. Two, making sure that there's enough chips in the emotional bank account that when you have a conversation with someone, do they believe you're telling the truth? And then three, it's a bunch of small conversations of making sure people feel valued regardless of where they are on that depth chart, and that their time will come at some point. And also just that I think in that experience, and I think also here at Texas A&M, our job is to raise the tide of the team. It's not just the 7 people that play or the 9 people that play. It's all the people that are part of your program. So same thing with USA, same thing with here at Texas A&M.
The pressure that you have as a coach, and also the players that you get to coach at that level, that can translate to what you're doing here. Do your young players here kind of, ask you a bunch of questions? Like, how much of that is a teachable moment for you now?
Yeah, I think it's both directions. I think I use, and I will use, our Texas A&M team as a teachable moment if I go and do USA things, just because those teams will be the ones that, I don't know, have my identity. And we talk a lot about being you through us. There's certain things that both of those teams are going to have in common, but they're also both going to be different because they're made up of different people and different personnel, and they're going to have different superpowers, both as, I don't know, emotionally and volleyball-wise. So I think both directions. I think using, again, for me, just the examples of like, hey, this is how this was taught in a very fast manner. Our practice plans were very similar to that experience, just because I think we had, 11 days to prepare for our season. They had 6 days. So it's a similar situation. But yeah, I think both ways, works both ways on that one.
How about the exhibition with Baylor? Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, first off, just everyone's been talking about the 12th man, and I got to experience that for myself. And had an exhibition. I don't know what the overall attendance was. It felt like it was something like 3,000 or 4,000 for an exhibition match. But not only were there just that many people there, it was just they were loud. And they got after the opponent. They were there for us. We talked about where to put the student section, and do we want it to be, the supporting thing of us or against it. I liked where they were at, and we felt the presence of the 12th man. And I think that was the coolest thing. From a volleyball standpoint, we had the idea going in. It was an exhibition. We wanted to play around and kind of know for sure what our team was like. And I think for most coaches, maybe they've had this group for 3 or 4 years, and they kind of know, like, we're figuring things out as we go here with the personnel and the personalities that we have. So we had the plan to kind of mix up lineups and play around with some different things, and we learned a lot about our team. I left that match. We actually talked to our team yesterday just about where they thought we played at, and I think the average was like a 6 out of 10 of what we have shown in practice, not I think what we're capable of. And I left the match kind of being disappointed. One, that we didn't take it to a fifth just because the crowd was awesome, and again, it was about learning. We were mixing up lineups, but I just wanted to get that to a fifth to hear what that crowd sounded like. So I was a little bit disappointed we couldn't take that to 5 or win, but then at the same time, I thought we didn't play spectacularly, and we were right there with, and it's early, so rankings are rankings, but the number 15 team in the country. And I think that's a really, really good spot to be in when, again, playing around with lineups, we're not playing our best, and there's good things to work off of.
Defensively, what did I read? 16 blocks, is that right?
Yeah, I think the officials, and I think ours had 17, but yeah. 17 blocks. Yeah, it was impressive. And I think that's going to be not really expected either. I've told our girls over and over again, just I came back, and it may have been the 3 days of practice, but I don't think you get formed into the team that you are in 3 days. It was the summer of work that they put in without us watching them. It's a really powerful thing when a group buys in and comes in and works hard, and it shows off when people get back. And I think I'll give this one publicly. One of our players gave a shout out to our team captain, Lauren Hogan, just for, I don't know, holding people accountable to being there, to structuring what practice is going to be like for them. And they came back a much better volleyball team and a much better blocking team. And I came back into the gym on day 1, and we were stuffing balls left and right. And I'm like, man, I think we're going to be good at this.
All right.
So I think it'll be a piece of our identity. I think we can be one of the best blocking teams in the country if we keep doing what we're doing.
All year long, you're going to be learning the personalities. As we the first of this, first of that. But what have you, like, as we are inching closer to the first game, like, what have you learned about the roster?
Yeah, I think one, just blocking wise, can be one of our superpowers. I think we can put that out there and we can be good. And then I think the other one is we talk a lot about having balance, that we're going to win through balance. And I think that's another one of we have different ways to beat different opponents. So I think blocking D-wise, we can do that. But I think offensively, if somebody wants to try to take something away, like, we have an answer for that. And that's just the way that I, in general, and talk about being you through us. That's how I try to form teams. It's not necessarily about one person having their best night every night. It's about different people might have their best night on every different night. So I think you'll see us win in some different ways.
Logan getting some preseason accolades out there. Just what does she mean to the group, and how much of a leader has she become?
Yeah, I think she's growing into that leadership role as time goes on here, and figuring out who she is. And I think she had an amazing freshman year, and everyone looks at that, and she still has room to grow, I think, is the crazy and awesome thing. So she's continuing to kind of develop into that leader that you're talking about. And then from the volleyball standpoint, just getting to, and I've had conversations, getting to where she, I don't know, left off last season. And we're excited what's coming in the future.
All right, let's talk a little bit about Omaha. You all leave on Thursday, is that right?
Yeah, I think so. We're taking it day by day right now, for me at least. But
Okay.
we leave Thursday, play Friday. I'm pretty sure I got that one down.
How excited are you, and just what are you expecting to see?
Yeah, I think one, I'm extremely excited. We get to, I don't know, play for real, and that's why we play this game. We put in the work so that we can step out there and compete. I told the girls a story that I heard. Kobe Bryant came and talked to our team before the 2012 Olympics, and told them a story about that. About, hey, we put in the work, we come in and we grind so that we get to go play in this awesome, amazing thing, and that's like the real, I don't know, platform and arena of competition. So we get to put another team on the other side of the net, and I think that's awesome. We get to see what we're made of, and that's why I love sport. Is there's a test. You get to come in and, hey, we're good enough or we're not, and if we're not, we get to come back and go to work on Monday. But Omaha's good. When we put together the schedule, it was trying to get, just from an RPI standpoint, as many teams on the other side of the net that are going to win 20, 25 matches. And they've done that year in and year out in their conference. They run a super fast offense, similar to Baylor, so it was actually a really good warm-up for what we're going to see. They have some young players. I think they have a younger outside that's going to be on there, and probably a freshman setter if they're running a 6-2 again. So it'll be a test. And again, I think two different opponents. We play Pepperdine the next night. We're going to have, I don't know, two different ways to beat them offensively. I think you'll see one night some of our players will go off. The next night some of our other players will go off. So excited to see what happens. Excited to see what we're made of.
Awesome. Last thing for you. I know that consistency is something that you preach to your players. What does that look like? What does that mean for a Jamie Morrison team?
Ooh, that's a long question. How much
Take
longer?
as much time as you want.
As much time as I want. I think there's consistency and hard work. So we really define in our team what that means to work hard. We actually watched after our maroon-white scrimmage some ways that we weren't doing it in terms of, I don't know, chasing down balls that someone sends back, and not just one person, but the entire team in terms of the way that we cover. I thought we were a lot better, and we actually haven't watch fist with our team, so I'll give them public accolades right now. We were a lot better, and I actually heard comments from people that were in the stands that we were much better at just a whole team chasing down a ball. It's
a mindset, right?
Yeah, 100%. And it's got to click into like, hey, this is who we are. So it was cool. And I think it's one of the coolest things when other people in the outside world see the things that you've been working on. So I got that from Ryan, the opposing head coach, in terms of some things volleyball-wise, and I got some stuff from the crowd in terms of who we are just as hard workers. So I think there's a consistency on hard work. I think there's a consistency in behavior of, hey, this is who I am as an individual, and I'm going to stay true to that every single day, regardless of the circumstances, whether it's 14-14 or whether it's I'm not playing. I'm going to stay true to who I am and who I say I want to be. And then there's a volleyball standpoint of can we put the ball where we want to every single time? Can we get up a hittable ball every single time? Can we take a big swing every single time? So I think consistency rings true throughout all of those, both hard work, personality on the volleyball court.
Jamie, I appreciate it, man. We're looking forward to seeing all the success this year and just being a part of the journey.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll come back with more. It's TexAgs Radio. Is it radio appropriate, Luke?
Yes.
All right, we'll get to it here in a second. It's TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Appreciate everybody listening in. Jamie Morrison was great. I am so excited about him and the direction of that program. And 12th man already representing there in exhibition matches. We'll see how the regular season goes. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun ride. All right, let's go to the News and Social Center there, brought to you by the Angry Elephant, because Luke Evangelist has got some text messages for us. Luke?
Yeah, Nate in Fort Worth with another classic. He said, can you swap sponsors around so that the Social Center is sponsored by the Low Testosterone Company?
Oh, that's pretty good. But QC Kinetics?
Yeah.
That was good. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. It happens, folks. I mean, I don't want to put a stigma on it. Like it happens to people, like, you know. So
yeah,
use that as an option.
Yeah, well, let's go to some good news now. We're just 50 subscribers away from 10K.
So we only picked up 10? What a disaster.
Well, not many people are like, people watch more as the day goes on, right?
Sure.
So like we're going to pick up more as the day goes on. So 10 in like an hour is pretty good.
I don't like that. To be very honest with you, I'm not mad at the audience. I'm not mad at you guys. I'm surprised. It's like when your kid gets a B.
If I can chime in here, David.
Oh, there's a delay on when they subscribe, correct?
No, not necessarily. I'm just saying we challenged them one time. They got us, 55 in one day. Then you challenged them yesterday. They got us 87 in one day. I was just looking at it. Why can't we do 100?
I thought we could get, honestly, this is what I thought. I thought we would have gotten 100 in an hour. I thought the people were, that's what I thought. I thought the people were listening were like, you know what, he's right. Like, it shows up on my algorithm from time to time.
Well,
but like,
they could be driving or something. You don't want them to YouTube and drive. That's not a good idea.
I didn't say that. I just said, if you have an hour commute in the area, I think it's a bit long. Now, if you're in the other areas, you know what? Do we have the metrics to find out where these people are from? If we don't, let's lie to the people. Let's have a competition. Let's see what city cares about TexAgs the most.
Okay.
Houston, are you listening? Dallas, Laredo, Temple, College Station, Bryan, Navasota. Who cares about this show or this entity? Because there's some people who don't like me, but they like Billy. And there's some people who don't like Billy. They like Olin. No, they all like Billy. And then there's people who love Luke. I saw a guy on the YouTube page says, "You crack me up, Luke."
Yeah.
I'm glad your mom texted in. So like there's that, right? So I want to, am I making up this thing, Nick? Can we check out the metrics where they're from? Does it say?
I think it'll only tell us country, but to be honest, I haven't really dove into it, so I'll look.
Okay. And what country? Ecuador. I know you're listening. I've seen you on the chat. Nicaragua, Russia, Italy, France. That's all the countries I know. All right, let's go back to Frisco, Texas. Christopher's listening on the YouTube page. Are you a subscriber? Sheriff, are you? TV, are you? All right, Luke, let's get to some real text messages so we don't waste the people's time.
Yeah. Dave and Edmond said,
Oh, just kidding.
no, it's a good one.
All right, Dave.
said
He's
how-
actually been better since I scolded him.
Yeah, he's been very good. How many times can we break the 50-point barrier this year, and can we hit 60 plus?
Can we?
I hope.
You know what? The hard part of this is I saw this stat the other day. What was it? I'm trying to remember what it was. That like Jimbo's like 26-0 or something to that effect when he scores over 35 points. I forgot what the number. Luke, you consume so much social media, you'll probably already saw it or be able to find it. And then the record when they score under 30 was not very good. I say all that like to think about 50 points, it makes me giddy. Like, is it really going to happen? Like, are we really going to have that kind of team? I say that. Can we eclipse that number several times? Look, the only thing that gives me pause is that is the offensive line going to be really good? And if they are, then yeah. If the offensive line is average and it takes a little time to get going, if we see what we've seen the last couple of years where they get better as the season goes on, which is okay, but where's your better start? If your better start's in the middle of college football, well, you got a ways to go. If your better start's in the top 20, right, like now we're talking. So to me, that is where it begins.
Yeah, the stat is Jimbo Fisher has not lost a game at A&M when the Aggies put up 30 or more points.
He's like 26-0, right?
Yeah.
And then what is his record? Does it show his record when he scores less than 30?
No. You know, I would love for that Ole Miss game to be like 56-53, something crazy.
I disagree with you. I would wish it would be 56-0.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Honestly, like that might be the only thing that would be acceptable in my eyes.
You're right. That was a bad example. We'll say
it's a good example.
the Tennessee game. Just, a road environment, just a crazy game that you can come out and win. I would really like
Here's
that.
the thing, and I think a lot of our listeners are probably the same way as me. Afterwards, that game is awesome. During, it's a stress test, right? Like I'm, got my partner to the left probably eating his nails. Like those are stressful games. Like that's not like I like it after, but during I don't like it. Anything else?
Yeah. Rudy from Dallas says, oh my goodness. He says, if Jimbo comes out of the tunnel with that cheesecake menu call sheet, we are doomed. Well, he's not going to.
No, I'm not even worried about that. Guys, like, all I cared about is the execution. That's why when Jimbo made those comments last year, I know some people didn't like it. I'm totally, it's true. The pick and roll in basketball is a very simple play. Luke, you love basketball. You can know it's coming, but when executed correctly, you can't stop it.
You can't stop it.
Execute correct. Now, do I want creativity? Do I want to hide some things? Do I want to put our guys in space and do some crossing routes? Yeah, all that. Yes. Can it be better? Yes, all day, day, right? But is that how we still say it? We say
yeah,
day?
that's what the kids are saying these days.
Okay, I'm part of that community. But the execution to me is the most important part of it, no doubt about it. All right, let's actually hear from our good friend Jimbo Fisher and Jocko Willink here on the program yesterday at the press conference. A couple of little tidbits that I wanted to pull out to get into. We kind of talked about it with Coach Waddell, but I want you guys to hear his answer when talking about more time to do things. Because what was the biggest storyline coming out of SEC Media Days, Luke Evangelist?
Oh, goodness.
About A&M.
Oh, about A&M. It was the Bobby Petrino, Jimbo Fisher relationship.
Okay. People are like, all of a sudden, like, not all of a sudden, they've been talking all offseason like, this is going to go a certain way. Jimbo's going to meddle. He can't help himself, right? Because these people know Jimbo intimately, and they know everything about him. So that's how they can throw things out there. Here's Jimbo on the parts that he likes about the ability to teach more, which is really the part he likes, the teaching part of it. Here's Jimbo yesterday talking about more time.
No, it can enhance because you're teaching it when you're on the field. You go in a meeting, you do things, and also you got more time to meet with players privately. You got a lot of time to have individual meetings with players where you be in there collectively grouping here. You can pull them into your office and go over specific things in which when they're not allowed to be in a meeting, as far as, we're not allowed to be in a meeting, but other guys are game planning, a guy come up and see you during the day and you talk about, hey, things are getting to know them better, but also these are specific things I see when other times you'd be in there game planning all the time. You know what I'm saying? So individual meetings with players, relationships, all those types of things make it, and you can sometimes even coach as much or more.
All right, people are probably not going to like this comparison, but I can only use stuff that I do in my life, right? So for this show, for instance, there's a creative process that I go through to get it ready. A creative process is just whatever, what I need to do to feel mentally ready to do this show. And we have added some production to the show. Nick can attest to it. Like, we have some producers in the back that are doing a lot of work. And in the beginning, it was very difficult because I'm so used to doing things a certain way and thinking about the stuff. I got so busy on certain things on the show that I probably wasn't able to concentrate on things that I really wanted to concentrate on. So Cade and, we had Brighton. Luke's doing some really good work. Hannah's doing great work back there. They've allowed me to kind of work on other areas, and I'm still completely plugged in. At the end of the day, it's going to be how I want to do the show, but it has allowed for some growth. I'm only speaking to that because I can understand what it's like to do things a certain way. And then there's a little moment like, do I trust this guy to do it? That's why he hired Bobby Petrino, is my point. When there's trust, you can allow, all right, I'm going to let you handle this so I can work on this, and we'll kind of talk about this later. When there isn't trust, you got to do this, this, and this, and you got to do it all, and now you're blinded by the amount of things in front of you, right? This allows more vision in my mind. Let's try to get one more in here from Jimbo. I might save a couple for the next segment. Here's Jimbo on this offseason. There's been chatter here, chatter there, all about, can he still do it? Sam Conn actually asked him, like, what do you make of the doubters out there, the haters, if you will?
10 years ago, you won a national championship. You've had a lot
Been
of success
fun.
in this sport, but I know a lot of people have questioned your abilities and, whether or not you can still reach that pinnacle. I'm curious how you...
People always doubt you. As an athlete, you're doubted every day.
Yeah.
Every team out there is the same way. People doubt you, makes it fun. That's what competition's about. I don't worry what people think. I know what we can do and how we can have it and what we try to go to. I mean, and every coach is, listen, you're on a daily basis. It's what you do for me lately and everything you do. I mean, every coach in the country is like that. If you slip up one time, it is what it is. And that's why that's part of the business you like.
Part of the business that you like. Hey, haters going to hate. At the end of the day, that's just how they're going to roll. I do want to read this text from Jevin from the 512 in Lakeway. A lot of your audience is 30 to 40 plus and don't use or care to use YouTube. I love the show, by the way. I disagree, Jevin. I feel like it's an option. Now, I'm not saying if YouTube's not your thing, don't do it. I'm talking to the people who use it. Look.
Well, I got the numbers right here, David. I can tell you our viewers on YouTube, majority of them, are 25 to 34 years of age.
Okay, so and they're in the mix. Look, I want you to consume the show the way you consume it. If you consume it on YouTube, great. Just subscribe. If you are a Zone listener, I want you to be a Zone listener. I want you to support all the Zone options, right? Online and, of course, on the radio. And if you are a CW watcher, I want you to watch on the CW until 10 o'clock and then find us on YouTube or find us on the Zone, right? Or TexAgs.com. We're just trying to grow in each area, right? But I appreciate you, Jevin, very much. Let's hit a break. We'll come back with more. Right now, Caprock Health System, when you are in an emergency-like situation, when you've been, slandered on the radio and just destroyed and you're going through a lot of issues, you go to Caprock to feel better because that's their sole purpose, to make you feel better immediately. We want the patients there to go to realize you're going to benefit from a very unique one-on-one experience. And if you have to be there a little bit longer, they're going to manage every element of your stay while you're there. They have a very low patient-to-doctor-nurse ratio, which means their medical team gets to know you and your individual needs with their hotel-quality rooms. They're awesome, guys. When you go there, just know that you're going to a place that's going to make you feel better because that is their sole purpose, to make you feel better. 100% locally owned and operated in the Brazos Valley, putting the patient first in every decision that they make. 2 convenient, state-of-the-art facilities designed for patient healing and family friendliness. You got Caprock Hospital in Bryan and Caprock 24-hour Emergency Center in College Station. They both have 0 wait time for emergency care, so you'll never have to sit in a crowded waiting room. It is Caprock Hospital in Bryan and Caprock 24-hour Emergency Center in College Station. All right, TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Our 10 o'clock hour is going to be crazy. Jonathan Hutton from Outkick. I've never had him on the show. Looking forward to chatting with him. Got to meet him in Nashville, and also Billy Liucci at 10:35. So it should be a loaded, fun hour, without a doubt. We'll go through 23 and 23 with Billy, as Connor is our number 4 today. Nick, you had an update for us.
Yeah, David. So I found that you can see which cities watch you the most, and would you have a guess as the top city?
Dallas.
They are second. Houston is first.
H-Town represent.
We get an average of about 9,000 viewers from Houston a day, 6,000 from Dallas, or I don't know if that's a day. I shouldn't say that, but Austin is third.
Okay.
How about that? San Antonio.
San
and College
Antonio, what's
Station.
up, San Antonio? Like, what's your deal? Like, do you not care about sports?
You're mad at them. Okay. I mean, they're in the top 5.
Just
College Station, where we are broadcasting from, that's 5th. But, let's
College Station, but let's be honest, it's a much smaller community,
yeah, exactly.
right?
Let's see.
I'd like to see College Station in the top 3. That would be ideal, but I understand. Like, if you're in College Station, you're probably listening on the Zone.
Yeah.
So keep doing that.
Well, we got Chicago coming in at
Chicago?
6. Yeah.
6?
New York, right behind them. Los Angeles, Denver, Cypress, Texas, Fort Worth, Texas, Atlanta, Georgia, the Woodlands, Philadelphia,
Philly,
Georgetown, Texas, Seattle. Okay, I'll stop.
You sound like that politician.
Which one? There's a lot of them.
I did a beat on a little thing on the air. What's his name? Dean. What's his name? Dean. Am I right about that? Chicago, New York.
Oh, the one that yelled.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
Anyway, San Antonio, you need to step up your game. Dallas, I'd be embarrassed. Like, this is another area that Houston is dominating you. Like, I'd be very embarrassed. Austin, I mean,
That's
honestly,
a competition I would be okay with Dallas winning, right?
honestly, Austin should be number 1. Because are you listening to SIP Radio? No. You should like, everybody should be subscribing and members of TexAgs.com, right? We'll come back with Jonathan Hutton next on TexAgs Radio. All right, we're back. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. A couple weeks back, fun. I don't know how long it's been. 3 weeks. We were in Nashville. By the way, I ended up loving Nashville. I had my first time to visit, and I was like, I could see myself living here. It was awesome. But I got to meet Jonathan Hutton there from Outkick, and it was cool because I've been watching their show for a bit. And I had Chad on the show, but never Jonathan, and he's here on the hotline. Jonathan, good morning, man.
Nuño, it's about time. It
Right.
is about time, man. We had a blast over at 6th and Peabody, and I'm glad you guys made it out. And anywhere Billy Liucci goes, I'm going to end up being there. So I'm with you.
Well, I'm sorry I didn't wear sunglasses on the air today. I should have done that, to pay homage to our great boss, Billy Liucci. But, you've seen it.
Yeah, and I can't portray it. I cannot duplicate it. I can't be as cool as Billy football down there in Texas A&M and then College Station Aggie land.
Well, hey, look, if they end up doing SEC media, I like that they're moving it around now. But if they
Me too.
if they ever decide to do it in one place, Nashville works, man. It's great. Like they used to do it obviously in Hoover, but it works.
Let me get your take on this. So I think Nashville's great, right? Like we're gonna have a dome in 2027. At what point does Nashville piss off the rest of the SEC in hosting everything? Like, we've got the basketball tournament. They give it to Tampa. They took it to St. Louis or whatever to help out that part of the SEC or whatever. Again, if we take SEC Media Days, which is great, I love it. And eventually, if they start placing bids or try to get the SEC championship game in that, at what point from where you sit, David, do we piss off everyone else and every fan base that Nashville benefits?
I think that the moment you get the next thing that becomes yours, like if you get that, then people are going to have. But I love it. Like, I did not know I was going to like it as much as I did. The ambiance, it felt like a cool Austin. I like Austin, but it was more my speed, if that makes any sense.
I think I'll be interested in Dallas next year, just to see, the media travel, and the central location of Nashville is what helps. You can get to 75% of the United States within a 2-hour flight. Whenever I was working with the Titans, the longest road trip we had was to Houston most years, and that was a 2-hour flight. So, I mean, yeah, it's very convenient, and I'm eager to see the outlets and how we travel next year to Texas compared to those that could just simply drive to Nashville.
You brought up something that piques my interest. You worked for the Titans. I had forgotten about that, but I did know that. I'm a diehard Oilers fan, man. It is so difficult for me to.
Yeah.
I mean, it's our history. I still think of it as our history. Like
You
know,
should. Yeah.
Earl Campbell ran those touchdowns at the Dome, right? But I mean, obviously they've done great work there in Tennessee.
Well, and it's the Adam. I know the Adams family, Bud and the group are not. They're either loved or not well liked. The hatred is real between the two on moving the team out, moving it to Nashville. But I mean, he owned the Oilers brand, and many of the Love You Blue players, the era that you're speaking of, look to the Titans more than they do the Texans because of the way that the team embraced them and ownership brought them to Nashville. And they've been doing that every year. So that there is their history, their names are on the stadium here instead of in Houston. I know it's a bit odd. And there's not a huge connection to the Oilers here in Nashville from a fan base perspective, but the history's with the family that owns the team. And that's why you see it so much. And that's why they're rolling out the uniforms. And that's why they're rolling it out against the Texans later this year. They look great, by the way. The helmets are what make this throwback uniform so special because they did it in the AFL anniversary, the 50th anniversary, 2011, I think it was, 2010. And it wasn't as great. The uniforms were cool, but the ones they're using now are spectacular. I think they're one of the top 3 throwbacks that we'll see across the league this year.
Jonathan Hutton here on TexAgs Radio. Jonathan, let's talk a little bit about college football. So your partner Chad had this awesome idea. I think it was awesome because I've heard it, but he actually went and broke it down about turning college football into the NFL. And look, I don't know if I want that to happen, but that's the direction it is certainly going, I should say. And maybe replicating the way they break down the AFC and the NFC with the Big Ten and the SEC. What are your thoughts on that direction of where college football is headed and what it could look like?
I think it is headed that way. Some say sooner rather than later. Some say it's down the road a bit. I say it's whenever Amazon or Apple tries to throw in a couple extra $1 billion, because I think ESPN and the other big networks are capped out on rights fees, and you need that synergy. You need that liaison, the island to bridge the gap between the two and have the true NFL model. What this stemmed just organically on the show when Chip Kelly and others have said it, but the Chip Kellys have said, hey, everyone should be Notre Dame in football. Take the 64, put them in a league. Let's go. Let's play for a championship. And Chad just on the air said, hey, why not just whittle it down to 32 and just look at it from the NFL model? And this is, he's with you. I'm with you. I don't want to see it get to the NFL of college football. But when we look at what's running things, it's money. And that's item A, and that's it, right? That is item 0 on the list. The money factor is based on linear television, but also the billions that are going into the NFL. If you're getting 50 million viewers for a Thanksgiving Day game, if you are getting 50 to 60 for a divisional playoff round, the highest rated, the most watched average game in college football last year was Ohio State and Michigan. And that was at 17 million, I believe, on Fox. Second was Tennessee, Georgia. So if you're just stacking numbers, if you had 32 in your league and you started pairing them up with the best against the best every single week, and you staggered it in tiers and in slots across your Saturday, maybe you have a primetime window on a Friday. I know high school fans frown on that. But you have individual windows and you have all the networks paying for it. What type of numbers would that pull compared to 25 or 30 million that are tuning in to watch Georgia and Ohio State in the college football playoff? I think you would average more. I don't think you're pulling the NFL average on any given weekend, but I think you're getting more than what you're getting now when some weekends you have Alabama, Kent State. You would not have that in this model, and that would pull a premium price tag that's already being paid, but you would get more than what you're getting now. That is what's going to drive it. And it's going to be the demand of the streaming companies and the trillionaires like Apple that would come into the mix and do something that would add to the pie, that would entice Greg Sankey to want to add Florida State and Clemson right now and want to join forces with the other networks, would want to pair everything together and make their own rule book for that specific sport, not all of college athletics. I think that is where we're going, but it's a matter of timing, and it's a matter of what do the networks want right now. And I still think they're trying to figure that out. And if you're just streaming only and you're behind a paywall, that doesn't work for the Pac-12, because if Apple is coming in and offering, and they were the only offer, as you well know, well, they're not going to want Oregon on linear TV. Oregon and Washington and Utah are going to be on behind a paywall, and you're going to end up with Washington State against Arizona State on free TV. That's not a great model to build your brand, and it's not a great model to build subscribers. You have to have the linear TV aspect, and then you pile on the Amazons and Apples who are going to pay premium for a Black Friday game like they're doing in the NFL.
Talking to Jonathan Hutton here on TexAgs Radio. Let's talk a little A&M. I feel like when you bring up A&M to anybody who does a national show, you got to bring up Bobby Petrino, right? And just
have to.
The X factor of what he can be. Like, what do you think is the high, and what do you think is the potential low?
Well, I think it all stems from not even Petrino. I think it's, I think it's Jimbo. I think the potential high is they are the surprise team of maybe like an LSU last year. With no one's compared to how much I'm talking about LSU to A&M, it's like a complete 180 from 12 months ago with the previews of this. You felt like LSU would get there with where they were headed and the new coaching change, but it was going to take a while, and it did not. And then A&M disappointed, right? Now I think it's been a complete reverse, and I understand Jimbo Fisher not wanting to give up the offensive play calling. That's what he does best. That's what he's known for. That's why he was hired. And, there's a give and take there. Now you bring in Petrino, and I think it's more about Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in the game planning, and then implementing in the moment on a drive like you and I and Liucci and everyone witnessed a couple of years back with Calzada at quarterback needing to go get a field goal. You take a timeout, who's calling the play? And do you stick to your guns on what you've talked about during the week? Do you stick to your guns on what the plan has been this offseason compared to last offseason? That's what it comes down to for an A&M, for me personally. I've got question marks about, and you would know, is Reuben Owens the real deal? Is he going to be the lead back, or is this a group of backs? Because I felt like too often A-Chain was not the guy. I wanted the ball more in his hands than what we even saw. I want to see that factor. And then Wegman, to me, is solid, but there's still a prove it factor. But the prove it factor, first and foremost, just comes down to what is the relationship like behind the scenes during the week, and the battle for which guy gets their way on the offensive call when it really matters. And if you get it wrong, who takes the blame? That's the other factor that factors into the following week. Those are the intangibles that I have about A&M that I don't really ask questions about with other programs, just given the dynamic and the pressure that is on Jimbo Fisher.
I understand. I don't feel like it's that big of a deal yet. It could be, right? Like we'll find out when there's pressure, right? When there's pressure there. But if you believe Bobby Petrino's presser, he's the boss. Like, he tells me to do something, I'm going to do it. Now we'll see how that plays out. I do want to ask you about LSU, because as good as they were last year, and they were good, they also won a lot of close games, which you have to do in the SEC. That's, I'm not telling you any breaking news there. But is there a chance that they have a letdown? Because the ball bounced their way several times in games that could have gone the other way. Could they have a letdown?
They could. I mean, Arkansas comes to mind, right? Like, Arkansas lost close games last year. A&M, LSU, Missouri. We're talking about teams that won them. Tennessee won those close games against Bama. And I think LSU and is a great time to bring up Bama and just the response of this. Like, if we see the growth from the entire offense at LSU that was already, I felt like, a year ahead from expectations. Where is Bama in the quarterback battle, and how do we feel about Bama in the close games? They lost them, LSU won them, and that's what benefits. And look, that's when it comes down to the true quarterback play. And more times than not in the SEC, I find myself focusing on the quarterbacks when it's really about a defensive stop on the previous possession, or it's a big third down, deflection that ends up a tip pass, or, potential sack that takes points off the board. Tackling is paramount when it comes down to inches there. Again, the defenses factor so much more to me in the game previews across the Southeastern Conference than when it gets to the NFL model, because you've got 4 and 5 stars on both sides of the ball, and you're not trying to piecemeal and role play. I think LSU stacked, and I've got them winning the West. I don't know where you have them. I'm not as high on Bama as the rest of the country when it comes to the AP poll. I realize they haven't been picked lower than 4th in like a decade, maybe 15 years, something like that. It's been a while, but the quarterback situation is odd to me, given the fact that everything else looks extremely stacked. LSU, to me, I don't have the questions like that, and I trust Kelly in those moments, and we've seen how they perform in those pressure moments. Now we get to see if they can replicate it.
I got to follow up on Alabama, but you brought something up about questions about defense in the SEC more than the offense, and that is how I feel about A&M. I am not as worried about the offense. I am more worried, can they stop the run? Because if they can stop the run, I think they're a different team. And there's other questions. How does the line get better? Does Bobby's offense really, really work the way I think it can? But it boils down, if you can't stop the other team on 3rd and 2, you're not winning a lot of games.
Well, and that's the difference between A&M winning 5 and winning 9, really. There were a lot of 3 and outs, a lot of bad possessions, empty possessions, right? You give the ball back, and the TOP rolls up on that defense. I thought there were a ton of snaps, too, that the defense was playing. But you're right, there's a vulnerability there, and that has to drastically improve. But on paper, the A&M team, I mean, on paper, they look like a team that's in contention in November for the SEC West, just based on the pure talent alone. So I think it's more of the intangibles than it is just when it comes down to, can player A, your one, beat the other one on the opposite side of the football. I think those kind of cancel out with A&M based on the resources and the way they recruit so well. And the fact that if you're a coach in the SEC, you want Saban, you want Kirby Smart to say your name. Last season, we saw Saban do that because there's a true threat in recruiting. I don't think it's about the talent on the field as much as it is the scheme and the intangibles going into the game plan. And that's where the rubber meets the road for me with A&M on whether or not they excel or we look at them as a repeat of last year.
I do want to ask you about Bama, because sometimes I wonder, like, when Nick Saban does a press conference, is this dude lying to me? Because I feel like yesterday.
I agree with you.
You know what I'm saying? Like, is he telling me, like, the way he answered the quarterback question the other day, like, does that mean he's actually happy? Because I don't know when he talks sometimes, right? Like, and at the end of it, you can decode it like, this is what he really meant.
I'm right there with you, man. I've seen more social posts of him relaxed, hanging out with Pete Rose or Sage Steele in his office than I have him being the grouch on the field, cussing about how his shoes don't fit well. He seems very comfortable and relaxed and cool, calm, and collected. Chad Withrow takes that as a sign that he has no problem going into the season with the group he has around the quarterback. I take that to mean that he has felt this way about his quarterbacks, because that would keep me up at night, not having Bryce Young. Bama was down 17 in Knoxville, and Bryce Young played the game of his life and lost. That game would have been a boat race. That was trending that way, and Bryce Young refused to let it happen. 2 years ago, Bama had no business being in a ball game in the fourth quarter against LSU. It was like 10-9 in Tuscaloosa, and it came down to making a big play to go set up an extended drive that they were able to kneel out and run out the clock. Like, do they have that dude to get it done? And that's where the big question mark for me comes in. This isn't a top 5 Bama team from last year that's returning, not the way they finished, and they're not returning the best player on the team in Bryce Young that was the number 1 overall pick. So I do think that plays a factor. I do think there is a quiet confidence, but trust me, there's no way they go into this saying that they're as good as they were last year at that position. And for whatever reason, they did not address it when they could have in the transfer portal. I was surprised by that. And I'm saying in a major way, where they bring someone in and he's undoubtedly the guy.
All right, last thing for you. Let's talk Tennessee, because A&M is going there, and they're a team that we had this segment yesterday. Teams you could believe could win 10 games, and that same team you could believe that win 7. And that's where I am with Tennessee. I'm with A&M in that same point, by the way, because it does boil down to Joe Milton. Is he that dude? And we've seen flashes of it, but we've also seen the other side. Where are you when it comes to the Vols?
If not for the way he finished the season last year, I would pick the latter. Look, it is about the layups for him. Can he hit the layups? Everything when we saw him prior to Hendon Hooker taking over the offense in Knoxville was a piss missile. I mean, it was a rocket if it was 5 yards in front of him or if it was 50 yards downfield. And sometimes the 50-yard wide receiver running down the sideline, he threw it 70 and missed the layup there. Like it's more about touch and precision than it is his true athleticism. He's legit. I mean, he can end up being the best quarterback in the Southeastern Conference. He can. Can he bundle all of that into what makes him that star status instead of the week in, week out, inconsistent guy that we saw prior to the finish of the season when Hooker went down with the ACL? He didn't throw a pick. He threw more than he threw a dozen touchdowns over that stretch. That's what they need. And they don't return the surefire Tillmans or Jalen Hyatt at wide receiver. They've got to mix those guys in and in an offense that it feels like to me, hey, make a move and get open against this defensive back. Hooker did a great job of just keeping possession, not making the wrong decision. He didn't always make the right one. He rarely made the wrong decision. And that's what Milton has to do. And on top of that, again, hit the layups, take the 2 points, and the 2 points can mean a 35-yard gain, but he's got to be on point when he's throwing the football. That's where they've got to rein him in. And look, I don't know what to believe in reports across college football because unlike the NFL, the media, sometimes you're given access, sometimes you're not. Not everyone's Billy Liucci, right? Not everyone's Brent Hubbs. From what I'm told in Knoxville, though, he's had a great fall camp. He hasn't thrown a pick in camp, and those are all great signs. But again, I haven't heard of many reports on quarterbacks in the SEC who have looked awful in camp. There's no balance there, so take that for what it's worth.
Hey, do you guys know if you're coming to College Station this year, or will that be decided later? Do you guys know if you come?
I need to text Clay and ask him. It comes down to Clay calling up Fox and saying, hey, Hutton and Withrow are coming with me. If that happens, then, I'll be there, and I'll either see you on the golf course on Friday or at the stadium on Saturday.
Yeah, I remember when you were here, was it 2 years ago? It was the Bama game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. All right, brother.
Yeah, but we need to petition Clay that we want to be there, and we'll be there.
Do it, man. Let's go hang out, all right?
Let's do it. I love it.
Appreciate you, man. Love your show, and just love your insight as well.
Same here, man. I appreciate it. I'm one of the subscribers, by the way. Everyone go hit the subscribe button to the TexAgs channel. You're trying to get to 10, right?
Yeah.
10K?
I think we should be at 100K, to be honest with you. But yes.
Well, I agree. Yeah, I agree. I'm just glad. Don't purchase them. Let it happen organically, and we'll get there. Billy's coming up, I know. We will get to the 10K today. We got to be close, right?
Yeah, we may already be there, my man.
Oh, there we are. There we are.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Appreciate you, man.
Later, brother. Always good stuff. Enjoy him. I watched his show all the time. It was fun to do. All right, let's hit a break. We'll come back. Short segment, then Billy will join us. Let's talk Chance McClain, Heritage Films. All right, so if you like your story, if you like your dad's story, like when I say, like, obviously you love your family story, right? But like, do you want that story to be preserved? Do you want that story to be there for your grandkids and the next generation, right? Or do you want it to be erased? No, you don't want it to be erased, because what happens is we tell these stories, right? Like I tell my kid how I started my career. Yeah, I started at Chase Bank, then I went to the Dallas Mavericks, and then I did this, and then I did that, then I'm at ABC 13, then I'm at TexAgs, and like they just remember what they want to. Dad, you worked at the Mavericks? Dude, I've told you 12 times. You worked at the Mavericks? Really? With Dirk? And yeah, I did. They forget. And they kind of, same thing with my dad when he tells me his story. Like, I remember it, but now that I have his Heritage film done, which is a documentary on his life, there's no forgetting, because it's there told by him, something that will be here for generation after generation, right? Like my kids, their kids, and yada, yada, yada. That's the beauty of Heritage Films, these 2-hour documentaries about your family. Awesome, right? And now they have the Year Flicks, which to me is just it's just as cool as the Heritage film. A Year Flicks is done for the kids. It's a 20-minute video, benchmark video, that interviews some 12-year-old in your family, not some, your daughter, your son, your 15-year-old, and it has a benchmark for where they are in life, what they're into, what they like to do on the side, the favorite subjects, favorite drinks, favorite foods, favorite memory, best vacation, all these things. And then a couple years later, you follow that up with another benchmark video. The website is yourheritagefilm.com, yourheritagefilm.com, 713-893-8341, 713-893-8341. They call me Mr. Country Music. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio, the official insurance provider of TexAgs Radio. The difference is real. They're an independent insurance company built around educating you on exactly what you're paying for, doing the shopping for you, so that you can accomplish all of your insurance goals. The headquarters is on Highway 6 right here in College Station. Call them up, 888-44-ROLLO, or go to rolloinsurance.com. We go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Luke Evangelist, who was angry for a little bit after we kind of dogpiled him, but he's now in a good mood again.
Yeah, I'm in a good mood. I went off air and I listened to a song and it really cheered me up. It was called Purple Rain. But I'm going to read a text message.
Okay, buddy, I got to teach you a trick. You can't laugh at your own jokes, man. You got to laugh.
I tried to, yeah, that was my bad. I tried to keep it in. I tried to keep it in.
Hey, David, I'm going to be honest. His little giggle made it better.
Okay,
it did kind of make it funny.
You know what I love? Look, this is not a shot at you, Luke, so don't take it that way. But you ever seen Dan Marino? He always looks like he's got a tan, right? Like you seem like you've been in the tanning bed recently, my friend. Just saying. So you have a glow to you. It's great.
Thank you. I'm going to get to this text message now, just so you know. I can't say another bad thing about David. Ruben Owens, this is from Walker in Houston. Ruben Owens doesn't need to be the guy. Clearly, he doesn't know our backfield.
No, I wouldn't say that. Look, the hope is that an alpha dog comes out of it, right? Like, I agree that Devon needed more touches that last year with Isaiah. I 100% agree with that. But if you look at these backfields, I mean, it's been, I don't want to say by committee. It's been more like with Isaiah and Devon, it was more like 60-40, 70-30 at times, right? And who's going to be that 60? Is it going to be Ruben this year? Is it Le'Veon? A lot of good talk about Le'Veon. Amari has something to say. There's other guys too. Like, I think it's going to be by committee, but someone's going to emerge as the guy, as the more often used guy, as the guy. And maybe it's in the beginning of the year is who's got the hot hand that day, who's having the biggest chunks. But Ruben Owens is a 5-star stud, right? Like best back in the country kind of thing coming out. So how long does it take him to reach that potential is more what I think Jonathan was getting to. What else?
Yeah, we've got a 254 number said, I hit the button, I just subscribed, super easy. And we are only 40 away from 10K.
I thought we were going to say we're 40 over.
Now, what would you do if we hit 10K live?
What do you want me to do?
I don't know. Be nice to me.
I have an idea.
What's that?
I think we should make Luke do a stand-up routine at the first TexAgs tailgate.
I think that's a great idea. Luke,
That's a good idea.
you can try you try your material on the show, which like any good comedian, if you watch their podcast, they always try their stuff on the show, and then they take it on the road. I think you've graduated to take it on the road.
Thank you. Yeah, my strategy is actually to get all the bad jokes out now, just to, test them, see where the waters are at, dip a toe in here or there with different areas of humor.
Hey,
and then once I'm ready for like the real show, then I'm going to be funny.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, just wear socks. All right. No, just sandals. Okay. I know that's your thing here, but like this is an office. Okay.
Yep. Got it.
Gotcha. All right. Let's do one last bite from Jimbo. I want to get this last one in there because I think it goes to what we have been. So there was talk on the board. Not that I want to make stuff on the board like a talking point on the show, but I think there's some people who were concerned about, oh my gosh, the offense is getting the best of the defense, or the defense is getting the best of the offense. And I asked Jimbo yesterday, like on the best teams that you've coached, like what is the ratio? Like what do you want? And he, to what I thought, my takeaway was like, you better not have one that's dominating an entire practice, but inside of a game, you better get each other. Here's Jimbo yesterday on that.
I always say it's like watching two great boxers go at it. You know what I mean? One guy win one round, one guy, you learn how to compete and not to flinch in those situations and learn to battle back. And I always call minimize the damage. When somebody gets the best of it, what the great teams always do, and I like to see that in practice. And that's why I don't like whole days to go that way. That concerns me sometimes. But it's like you have what I call that, all right, I've been hit, let me protect, let me minimize the damage so it doesn't destroy us, you know what I'm saying? And then get back the next period or the next couple plays or whatever it is. And your good teams and good players, when they're like that, as a team, do that a lot within the framework of practices.
Are you seeing that this camp?
Yeah, I am. I mean, there's been just maybe a practice or two. I thought one side really got the best of the other, and it's been both ways consistently, but not a lot of it's been by, the other one first to practice, the other one to rebound the next period and rebound, punch, counter punch, which you'd like to see because, listen, you're going to get stung. Somebody's going to make plays on you, offense, defense, special teams, and how you react to those, and I call minimize the damage, regroup, go back to fundamentals, and then approach the next level of how you do it is what you want us to be able to see. And once you get on top, though, how long can you stay there? You know what I'm saying? Don't make some plays and say, oh, I get relief syndrome all of a sudden and relax. And I know I've had it because players sometimes, I always say this, inexperienced players, difference in playing well and winning. Sometimes you need to make a couple plays. Well, I'm on the internet. I know I got my highlight. I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Instead of competitively dominating the whole day. And I think that comes with youth. And I think when you get older, experienced guys, which we're having a more experienced team now, an older team, I think you're learning to see those kind of qualities a little better.
All right, good stuff there from Jimbo. I like the way he described it. And, yes, he does feel like they've been doing exactly that. So when we come back on TexAgs Radio, Billy Liucci will be with us. We'll chit-chat with Billy about 23 and 23, number 4, Connor Wigman. Before we do that, let's talk a little bit about the Caldwell Country Chevrolet. You know where to find them. Highway 21 in Caldwell and online at caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. Customer service is the thing that I usually start with. But I think people think of like when you're in the store, if you will, right? Like, yes, that's part of it, of course. But how about the customer service that they have when you have service needed on your vehicle, right? That they're providing a service, but the customer service that they provide during that, it is awesome. They have complimentary pickup and delivery for service customers out there. They're a proud supporter of and sponsor of Texas A&M Athletics. So one thing Caldwell Country is going to be involved and all things Aggie sports out there. R.C. Slocum has got his vehicles from there. Billy's gotten his cars from there. Dante Hall's gotten his cars from there. I've gotten my cars from there. It's a small-town dealer making dreams come true for the Brazos Valley, and they've been doing it because of the entire experience from the customer service in your service, from when you buy the vehicle, the before, the during, the after. The entire experience is second to none out there. And you're going to get a great trade-in value and a great vehicle, and they're going to make sure that you get the vehicle that fits your family needs. It's about a 15-minute drive, Brian and Caldwell, a short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with our friends there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. All right, we're back. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Looky here, Billy Liucci in studio on a Tuesday, 23 and 23. Presented by the Charge Apparel, Aggie owned and operated premier polos and tees made in the USA. 12% of total sales donated to organizations supporting veterans and mental health initiatives. You can visit them at thechargeapparel.com or find them on Instagram, on the Charge Apparel, or Twitter, the Charge brand. Hello, Billy.
We got some grinders upstairs.
What's going on?
And if you don't respond, I mean, it's just like an 8-pronged attack of that. They just refuse to listen. Like, hey, don't bother me with 17 different things. This is an on-air message to the upstairs. I like you downstairs, guys. Upstairs, harassers.
Yeah, and don't they hit you with multiple people?
Yeah, I think it's on purpose, and it's like, dude, that's the worst way to attempt it. I'll tell you what else is bad. First of all, are we going to lunch at McDonald's today? Or
are you going to join the Luke committee?
Can we go somewhere? No, I am taking up for Luke. That was an all-out assault on him.
Really? Let me ask you a question.
Now, I missed the start of it.
He started it.
Okay, but
he came in and did the joke before the show started, then did the same joke on the air.
Oh, that's a Zane move. That's a Zane.
And let me ask you this.
That is a Zane move over there by the televangelist.
Feel the stones to be able to come at the host right away? You think so?
Yeah,
oh,
but
really?
but knowing that it's going to come back at you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you'd be okay with him coming at you?
Yeah, because I would go back at him tenfold.
Let's be honest.
Which is what you did, but I thought you went overboard.
What? What did I say?
Olin's chime in.
What, Phil Spector? I thought that was fair.
Does Phil Spector have an afro?
Have you not seen the picture? Oh, let me Google this one.
No,
for you.
who is Phil? Oh, he's
an actor, right?
I thought he's like a politician or something.
No, he's an actor. I'm going to show you this picture of him, and I should probably send it to
Let
Nick
me
Evangelist.
guess. He has puffy hair and a mustache.
Phil Spector, right there. It's a good look.
What is he from, like Studio 54?
I don't know.
All right. Come
Wait,
on.
Can we talk Connor
Yeah,
Wigman?
that's what I'm
All right,
getting
he's
at.
number 4 on the list.
Wigman's got puffy hair, too.
He's got cool hair,
He does. So does Televangelist.
to be honest. Connor wears shoes in
Nuño, there
offices.
Okay, fair enough.
Thank you. Anyway, Connor Wigman, number 4 on the list. The way I started off the show with it is, hopefully, he's higher on the list come November because that's the kind of game that I think he has.
Again, I have no idea where I put Connor. I think I probably would have put him. I would guess. And you don't have to go. Are you fact checking?
Yeah, I was going to look.
Oh,
it up.
I don't reveal my list. So
Okay, I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to see where I had him.
I would think I would have had him probably 3 if I had to guess.
I had him 4.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. Like, you've got some guys with a lot more experience. Obviously, there's another one similar to Connor that'll probably pop up. Well, we already listed Evan Stewart, didn't we?
No, yeah.
Oh, okay. Spoiler alert.
I think they know. They've been
I
following.
can tell you who else is way up on mine, who I may have had number 1, was McKinley Jackson. So I don't know what my top 4 was. I bet Connor might have been 3 for me. But anywho, the reason I have him that high, I'll say top 5, is because, yeah, he does have a chance to be number 1. And I hope he's number 1 if you revisited this at the end of the year. I hope he's number 1 because I think that'll mean a big year for the Aggies. Unless they're going to go out and lose a bunch of shootouts, which I don't think they will. I've got concerns on defense, but I'm not. It's not concerns that they're going to be a bad defense. It's like I'm saying, is this going to be a 10-win defense? Is this going to be a New Year's 6 offense and passing game? And I think if Connor rises on this list or even finishes top 5, I think that would mean a lot of wins for A&M. But I could see a world where at the end of the year we're going, man, this guy was not only A&M's MVP, but one of the better young players in the conference. You know, when you get guys like, you know, there's some veteran quarterbacks in the league, not as many as usual.
Mm-hmm.
And I've said this before. I think this is one of those years. Like, look, if Jaden Daniels and KJ Jefferson, I think Will Rogers doesn't get enough credit.
Agree.
I think he should probably be. I think he should be most people's number 1 going into the season.
He's done the most
based on what he's done, but also what he's had working around him. When you compare like an LSU or whatever quarterback's going to be at Bama or Georgia, but you know, I think when you've got a year where guys like Jefferson, Rattler, Daniels are at the top. I watched those guys. I've watched Jefferson for 3 years. I've watched Daniels. I watched him last year, not just against A&M. And people say, well, he was hurt. Well, hell, Connor Wigman played hurt. Haynes King played hurt. Everybody, like that's college football, man. Bryce Young played hurt. So don't try to say that guys like Jefferson and Daniels would have been so much better if they weren't hurt. Welcome to the SEC. You get banged up. So when in a league where that many – where if that's the top of the quarterback heap, I think Connor Wigman can end up in there at the end of the year. I think that's that there's a ceiling there. If he ultimately, wins this job in the next week, and I think he's had a really strong camp, really strong. He does that, and I think the key for Connor will be early season because let's say, as we're talking about this, Connor's the guy. And I've thought Connor's the future of the quarterback position in A&M since they signed him. I've said that. I haven't seen anything to make me not think that. Hell, the last time we saw him on the field, he's beaten LSU. And it was A-Chain running wild, but damn, Connor made some plays. What people don't talk about is he made some really on-time and on-target throws early to kind of, it's almost like holds those linebackers at bay. And that really helped the O-line and A-Chain in the running game really get things going. Then he made some key scrambles in that game for the sticks, showing off the legs, which I think he's got a lot more to show there. I think people have to remember around the country when you're talking about Connor Wigman, the running he did in high school versus A&M was not – he did a lot more at Bridgeland. And at A&M, it was more move the sticks. There's a chain against LSU. I'm going to get to it, and I'm going to outrun Harold Perkins to that spot. I'm going to hit somebody with a little dead leg and get a first down and dive. He was their only scholarship quarterback left in the last I mean, Haynes King played against Florida and then was out, but he really didn't even want to play him in that game because of injuries. He was really your only scholarship quarterback left when he took over with like 5 games left. So we didn't get to see what he can do with his legs, which, again, he's not Johnny as a runner, but he is much better than I think anyone that watched A&M football last year would realize, even though he flashed it. He ran for a lot against UMass in the rain. That was kind of set up perfectly. I give him credit for doing that. You know, hey, rainy field, guys slipping and falling. You know where you're going. They don't take full advantage, and he did. But I think he can do that against SEC defenses too. Like if you wanted Wigman to go for 80 to 100 yards against an SEC defense, you could do it. Now, do you want him taking that punishment? No, you don't want any quarterback doing that. Point being, there will be a game here or there where we look at the stat line and you go, man, that 65 yards rushing was the difference. It changed the game. 2 or 3 of those scrambles, and that's what he can do. And then against LSU late, you saw him airing it out. You saw him not afraid to throw it up and let his receivers make a play. I think I think Connor, I don't think the deep ball is like the strength of his game yet. I think he can make all the throws. But he's so on target, and he throws such a catchable ball, and here's what I think the strength is. On those deep balls, I liked it. You've got Evan Stewart. You've got Moose Muhammad. You've got Noah Thomas. Jade Walker. Throw it up. Let them go get it. Utilize Anias underneath, being on time and accurate and hitting him in stride like he showed he can do last year. Let those guys make plays, but Connor Wigman's a damn playmaker. Teams are going to have to respect him keeping the football on any kind of read handoff. They're going to have to respect that, and if they don't, he's going to make them pay. Different player, but similar to like what Tannehill would do back in the day. If you focus too much on that back, he's going to pull it and rip off a huge chunk of yards. And you'll see him do that some this year too. But I think his strength is this, Nuño. It's all the stuff you can't coach.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the allure here. He's a winner. He's a competitor, like way more than people know. He'll come in here and sit down and he's relaxed and chill. He's an intense competitor at all times. Like in his head, he's keeping score, of what everyone says and does. He's keeping score, and he's going to try to prove everyone wrong. He's got that mindset. Teammates love him. And I think what the biggest intangible to me is just his feel for the game. His feel for, this is what you really can't coach, his feel for a pass rush. His feel for when to step up in the pocket or when to slide one way or the other. And when he gets out of there, he's not panicked and taken off. He gets out, and he knows where that third receiver is, and the ball's coming out. Very quick release, but even more so than the I'm going to throw it ball out of hand time of a release, it's just the mental side of it. Okay, and I don't think he thinks like this. He just does it. I'm going to step up in the pocket and then pop out to the left here, and I'm going to hit the third option crossing. But as soon as I pop out, I'm looking for him and letting it go. That, to me, is how fast he plays the game. Speed of the game for him is not an issue, and that's a great attribute and trait when you're playing Southeastern Conference football against these defenses. You have to have it. You can't hold on to the football too long. You have to be able to come off your first and even second receiver and still pass it. It can't be like to get to your third option, you're probably running every time. That doesn't work either. So I think it's just the intangible feel of the game, the competitiveness, and he's just got that knack for making something happen in football games.
Yep. All right, let's hit a break here. We'll come back with one final segment. If there's any text messages for Billy, send them at 979-693-1150. It's TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. And we're back, TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. The Angry Elephant now is sponsoring our news and social center, and that's where we find Luke Evangelos. Luke, your good friend, David Edmond, has a question for us.
Yeah, he wants me to ask Billy, do we break how many times do you think we'll break the 50-point mark this year, and do you see us breaking 60?
I don't know, 60 points. I'm just going to try to, I mean, if it doesn't rain against Abilene Christian, sure. But even then, Jimbo doesn't typically go out and try to score 60 because if you're en route to scoring, hold on, I'm tweeting this out. It's Haynes King named the starter for Georgia Tech.
Go Haynes.
Not a big surprise, but good news for Haynes. I mean, I'm really excited for him. You know, that as a quarterback, if you transfer, and I know he loved A&M, but you know, and I think he knew he wouldn't have started this year, but I'm sure he would have fought like hell to do it had he stayed. But when you make that decision to leave the school you picked and you love the place and you love playing college football in the state of Texas, the worst thing imaginable is to get to your new spot and lose the job. So I think it's so important for not just any player that transfers, but like especially a quarterback to just kind of know your level, know where you can play, know where you can start. But that's especially true for last year guys in their final season, but also at any point in time for quarterbacks. So big news out of Atlanta for Haynes. I know Chase is doing well, too, at receiver, so you might see both of them starting. I don't know about – haven't read up on Andre White yet. But back to the quarterbacks, or one of the two quarterbacks that are here that we're talking about this week in Haynes – I mean in Connor. Nuño, it's the playmaking ability. The ability, like, in the fourth quarter, he's the kind of guy you want to have the football. If you're a receiver, you go – if I'm open, I'm getting it. If I'm open by 2 steps, he's going to find me. But if I'm open, it's one-on-one, I've still got a chance to get the football. That's what every receiver wants. It's the ability, like I said, to move the sticks. It's the ability to avoid a sack. You know, instead of 2nd and 16, it's 2nd and 8. Those are winning plays. And I think Connor Wigman makes winning plays. He had no turnovers last season. I don't read too much into that because I think, just like Jimbo says, Connor, he's not afraid to take risks. So there will be some turnovers. He's not going to – I don't think he's going to be a volume guy at all. But I think he's not going to keep this perfect record intact. And I think the 8-0 ratio is a little deceiving because he's going to take chances with the ball, but he's going to produce both throwing and running so many more touchdowns and big plays than turnovers. Obviously, you better do more touchdowns than turnovers, but so many more big, impactful, meaningful plays. But a lot of those plays he makes, it's going to be because he ain't scared out there. Yep. And I think his teammates in the huddle know that, and that's something that, you know, there's – name me an SEC game that's not going to be a 4-quarter game. They pretty much all are. And I think that's why, you know, a guy like Wigman, he does inspire a lot of confidence in just kind of finding a way to get it done.
All right, Billy. Thank you very much,
That's
sir.
it. All right, David.
That'll
See
do
you in
it.
a minute.
All right. My thanks to Jonathan Hutton for joining the show. He was really good. We enjoyed that. We had Billy, obviously. We had Alan Waddell, Jamie Morrison in studio, and, of course, Olin Buchanan. My thanks to Sean Murphy at the Mothership, Nick Savage, Luke Evangelist there. Got a busy show planned for you tomorrow. John Harris, Coach G, Ryan Broniger, and Tom Schuberth. All will be on TexAgs Radio. Thanks so much. We will see you mañana.